Chapter 1742. If the six-armed beast woke up and discovered them, it would be difficult for them to escape. The little white monkey waved its paws, and its eyes seemed to say that it was very safe here. Lin Xian was very suspicious. He carefully probed with his soul power and found that the six-armed abyss in front of them seemed to have fallen into a very strange state. It probably wouldn't wake up for a while. Should we go and take a look? Anyway, he had mastered the heavenly dragon's 8 steps, and his speed was terrifying. Even if there was danger, he should be able to escape. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to go and take a look. After all, if the little white monkey was so concerned about it, it was probably a rare treasure. Therefore, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon discussed for a while, and then carefully walked forward. In front of them, the six-armed divine ape was like a small golden mountain crawling there. Although it was in a strange state of sleep, the demonic aura emanating from its body was still terrifying. It made them all feel a sense of trepidation. Not only that, Lin Xian walked closer and found that there were a few terrifying cracks on the six-armed divine ape's back. It must have been injured by the 9th heaven divine thunder that day. It was probably sleeping now because of the injuries on its body. If that was the case, Lin Xian and the others would be much safer. In front of them, the little white monkey was jumping up and down on the six-armed divine ape. This scene almost made the dark red dragon's jaw drop. He quickly pulled the little white monkey over and scolded it. He was afraid that the six-armed divine ape would wake up. However, he was relieved that the other party was not awake yet. Woo woo woo. The little white monkey stopped fooling around. It pointed forward and motioned for Lin Xian and the dark red dragon to go over. Then it took the lead and ran over. Could it be that there's really a treasure? Lin Xian and the dark red dragon quickly went over. Then they were stunned. This was because they found that there was a 5-colored stone in front of them. The 5-colored stone was the size of a palm, and it stood in front of them. It was surrounded by a 5-colored radiance, and it emitted waves of spirit qi. When Lin Xian saw it, he was also stunned. Ruffian dragon, what's that? He asked in bewilderment. I don't know. The dark red dragon shook its head. He was experienced and knowledgeable, but he still didn't know what the 5-colored stone in front of him was. Because that stone was simply too strange. Judging from the brilliance, it seemed to be a treasure. However, the faint aura it gave off seemed to be something that had existed for a very long time. It gave people a very contradictory feeling. In the next moment, the dark red divine dragon waved its claws, trying to grab the 5-colored stone. But soon he was stunned. Because he realized that he couldn't pull it out at all. That 5-colored stone seemed to be connected to the earth. It was abnormally hard. Fuck, did I see a ghost? The dark red divine dragon refused to believe it. It circulated its strength again and pulled up quickly. However, he couldn't shake it at all. Fuck, this is really weird. I can't pull it out. The dark red divine dragon frowned in anger. Seeing that the other party was about to attack again, Lin Xian stopped him. Ruffian Long, don't act recklessly. If this treasure is damaged by you, it would be terrible. Let me try. After saying that, he stretched out his palm and grabbed in front of him. A palm of light appeared and carefully enveloped the 5-colored stone. Then he used his strength to pull it out. The result was the same. He still couldn't pull it out. This is really weird. Lin Xian was also surprised. He didn't dare to use his full strength for fear that he would alarm the 6-armed divine ape next to him. However, judging from the strength he had exerted, even if it was a mountain, he would be able to pull it out. But now he couldn't pull out a stone the size of a palm. It was really too weird. However, the little white monkey squinted its big eyes, which were like crescent moons. It quickly ran to the 5-colored stone, stretched out its furry little paws and hugged it in its arms. Plop. With a gentle hug, the little white monkey pulled out the 5-colored stone. What? That works? The dark red divine dragon widened its eyes. It couldn't believe what it was seeing. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth twitched. He couldn't pull it out even after using so much strength. However, the little white monkey pulled it out with a gentle hug. This was too weird. Sigh. The dark red divine dragon held its chin and thought for a long time before speaking. This thing is definitely a treasure. Legend has it that the legendary item can choose its owner. It seems that the two of us are unlucky to not be chosen by the legendary item. Lin Xian was also confused. You're saying that the two of us can't pull out the 5-colored stone because we're not fated with that treasure? And Little White was chosen? That should be the case. The dark red divine dragon sighed. Damn that little guy. His luck is too good to be able to obtain such a legendary item. Lin Xian also heaved a sigh of relief. Although he didn't obtain it, it wasn't bad to give it to the little white monkey. After all, Little White was his partner. Since they had obtained the 5-colored stone, Lin Xian and the other two didn't dare to stay here any longer. They quickly moved and ran into the distance. This time they climbed over more than 10 mountains in a row. After putting enough distance between them, they stopped. They had no choice. This item was beside the 6-armed divine ape. Who knew if it belonged to the other party? If the other party woke up and realized that the legendary item was gone, it would definitely go berserk. They couldn't fight against that kind of monster king. Therefore they could only run as far as they could. In a safe forest, Lin Xian and the other two stopped. Then the little white monkey jumped on the ground, still hugging the 5-colored stone in its arms. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon also observed carefully. They didn't take a closer look before. They only felt that the 5-colored stone was extraordinary. Now that they took a closer look, it was indeed so. The 5-colored stone was the size of a palm, almost as tall as the little white monkey. There were 5 different colors on it, emitting a bright light. It was like a divine light that contained a lot of power. Lin Xian even noticed that wherever the 5-colored stone was, the surrounding spiritual qi would involuntarily gather towards it. Could it be that the 5-colored stone can absorb the spiritual qi of heaven and earth? Lin Xian was shocked. The snow-white little monkey hugged the 5-colored divine stone and was as happy as a child. It took a deep breath. A 5-colored light appeared on the 5-colored stone, then entered the little white fox's body. Soon Little White's body was suffused with a faint 5-colored light. It was incomparably sacred. Damn. At the side, the dark red divine dragon was very envious. Its saliva was almost dripping onto the ground. In the next moment it also took a deep breath. Suddenly, a 5-colored light rushed out and entered the dark red divine dragon's body. Damn, no way. I can absorb it too? The dark red divine dragon was very excited. Lin Xian tried and found that he could absorb it too. This made him very happy. However, he found that after they absorbed it, the 5-colored stone's light became much dimmer. Chapter 1743. Damn, are you kidding me? There's no more energy? The dark red divine dragon's eyelids twitched. After waiting for a while, he heaved a sigh of relief. That was because he realized that the 5-colored sacred stone was gradually regaining its luster. The stone could automatically replenish its energy. The dark red divine dragon opened his mouth wide. It was indeed a heaven-defying treasure. Lin Xian was also shocked. Judging from the energy absorbed just now, it was no less than the energy of the dragon crystal. More importantly, the 5-colored sacred stone could replenish its own energy. It was equivalent to an unlimited dragon crystal. However, the only drawback was that the 5-colored sacred stone did not contain much energy at the moment. It would take some time to absorb it. Oh no. The little white monkey was also playing with the 5-colored sacred stone in his hand. However, from the looks of it, he seemed to think that the stone was too big for him to carry. However, the stone seemed to be very intelligent. It could understand Little White's meaning. Hence, under the shocked gazes of Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon, the 5-colored sacred stone gradually became smaller. However, the light on it became even more dazzling. In the end, it became like a jelly bean and was swallowed by the little white monkey. Damn, no way. Damn monkey, you ate it? That's a treasure. The little white monkey looked at him in disdain. Then it opened its mouth and spat out the 5-colored sacred stone again. Not only that, but the 5-colored sacred stone was even more intelligent this time. Under Little White's furry claws, it kept changing into various forms. Swords, spears, staffs, capes, cloaks, clothes, helmets. In short, it could change into various forms. This change made the little white monkey very excited. The dark red divine dragon was also curious. He took it and tried it. In the end, he realized that he could not make the 5-colored sacred stone do that. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was extremely shocked. It seemed that the 5-colored stone was indeed born to belong to the little white monkey. Just as the few of them were studying the 5-colored sacred stone, an angry roar came from afar. That voice was too terrifying. It contained infinite anger. In an instant, the clouds in the sky were shattered. On top of that, the ground began to tremble violently. In fact, a few of the mountain peaks even exploded. Upon hearing this sound, Lin Xian and the crimson mystical dragon felt their scalps tingle. They knew that the 6-armed mystical ape had awakened. The 6-armed divine ape had indeed woken up. However, the moment it woke up, it was incomparably furious. This was because he realized that the 5-colored divine stone beside him had disappeared without a trace. This made him extremely furious. so in the next moment he immediately went berserk. The six-armed godly ape was an extremely terrifying demon king with heaven-defying strength. Its rampage caused the entire primeval forest to fall into chaos. That terrifying body swept in all directions. The demonic aura on his body soared into the sky, forming a golden demonic cloud that bared its fangs and brandished its claws. The nearby demonic beasts were all affected and fled madly. Even a few human ancient martial art practitioners were affected by it. The six arms waved and grabbed the nearby mountain peaks, uprooting them. Not only that, the six-armed divine ape did not find the whereabouts of the five-colored divine stone after searching the surroundings. Thus he began to run towards the distance. The earth trembled as if there was an earthquake. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon felt their scalps go numb. They hurriedly brought the little white monkey away. However, the little white monkey was not afraid. It shrank the five-colored divine stone again and swallowed it directly into its mouth, cutting off the connection between the five-colored divine stone and the outside world. As expected, the six-armed divine ape could no longer find the right direction. It could only destroy everything in its surroundings. Only when the six-armed divine ape left and Lin Xian and the rest were safe did the three of them heave a sigh of relief. Then the dark red divine dragon set up a spirit-gathering array. The little white monkey stood in the spirit-gathering array with the five-colored divine stone in its arms. In the next moment, the five-colored divine stone shone brightly. Lin Xian and the rest absorbed the five-colored energy together. Whoosh, whoosh. The energy was too pure and rich. Lin Xian's longevity incantation was circulating crazily in his body, absorbing the energy of the lotus with all his might. 5 days later, a low vibration suddenly came from Lin Xian's body. It was as if a muffled thunder had exploded. Then a terrifying energy surged from his body. Boom. Sword chi soared into the sky. It was incomparably sharp. It slashed through the void and disappeared into the clouds above. In the next moment, Lin Xian opened his eyes. Golden light flickered in his eyes. There were even mysterious runes appearing. The aura on his body was as deep as the sea. It was extremely terrifying. I broke through. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. Finally, he had successfully broken through to the 4-star king realm. Compared to before, his cultivation and strength had increased tremendously once again. Feeling the powerful great dragon sword soul, Lin Xian revealed a satisfied smile. Now, even if he encountered Lu Mingyue or other genius martial artists, he would not be afraid. Moreover, with the five-colored divine stone in his hand, his strength would continue to increase. Then Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon continued on their journey. Half a day later, a valley appeared in front of them. The surrounding vegetation was lush, and the spirit chi was very dense. The valley was filled with fresh flowers, birds, and beasts. It was like a paradise on earth. Not only that, Lin Xian saw 2 familiar faces in the valley. Lu Mingyue and the pale-faced young man Yan Qing. Lu Mingyue was in a blue dress. Her slender figure was very agile and elegant. Her peerless face was like a dream. Beside her, Yan Qing's face was pale. There was a strange glow on his body. It was as if he could dominate the entire forest. In the next moment, the two of them turned around and stared at Lin Xian. Then they frowned. "Why did you come here?" Lu Mingyue asked, her voice carrying a trace of coldness. "I passed by on the way. I didn't expect you to be here too." Lin Xian replied in a deep voice. He saw the other party's expression and became vigilant. He thought that the other party knew that Guo Chuanfei and the others had been killed. In front of him, Lu Mingyue's clothes fluttered like a fairy. Her eyes were filled with arrogance. She looked down at Lin Xian and said coldly, "Leave. This is not a place where you can come. There are some things that you can't touch." Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. The other party's attitude made him very unhappy. However, at the same time he also relaxed, because he realized that it wasn't about Guo Chuanfei. Instead, the other party seemed to have discovered something and didn't want others to enter the valley. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. He didn't want to be entangled with the other party, so his figure flashed and he left the area, flying into the distance. Yan Qing's eyes were cold as he watched Lin Xian and the dark red dragon leave. He's lucky that he ran fast enough. Otherwise, I would definitely bury him under my thorn flower. Lu Mingyue frowned slightly and said softly, "His background is a little mysterious. He actually knows Yi Wudao." But fortunately he was tactful and didn't force his way into the valley. Otherwise we would have to attack him. In the next moment, the two of them retracted their gazes and ignored Lin Xian. Instead they looked at the valley. Chapter 1744. Soon, the two unleashed their powerful soul powers and began searching the valley. On the other side, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon left the valley. Brat, those two were too arrogant. Why didn't you attack them? The dark red dragon snorted angrily. The other party's arrogant attitude made it very unhappy. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. No hurry. There's no need to fight them now. At least we need to figure out what they're looking for. This primeval forest was too mysterious. He had once found a dragon crystal and a 5-colored divine stone here. Presumably, other cultivators would also have made great discoveries and found heaven-defying treasures. This wasn't strange at all. Sure enough, not long after, Lin Xian found traces of other cultivators. He even found many scenes of battle along the way. Obviously, someone had attacked. Ahead, blood and several corpses were scattered. It seemed that the battle was very fierce, but those people had already left and seemed to be rushing forward. What were they looking for? Even the dark red dragon was very curious. Suddenly, Lin Xian frowned and looked to the left. He realized that there was a strange energy fluctuation there. Someone was rushing over at a fast speed. In the next moment he was surprised. Because there was someone rushing over, and not only that, he was very familiar with that person. It was Yi Wudao, whom he had seen before. Yi Wudao was still dressed in white, spotless clothes. His face was handsome like a god of war. His whole person exuded a majestic vitality. Brother Long, I didn't expect to see you again so soon. Yi Wudao smiled when he saw Lin Xian. That's right, Brother Yi. I wonder what these people are looking for? Lin Xian voiced his doubts. Not long ago, someone found a spiritual old medicine. These people are desperately trying to find traces of the spiritual old medicine. Spiritual old medicine. Hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked. As an alchemist, he knew about this spiritual old medicine. It was a very precious spirit medicine. Not only was it very old, but it also had spirituality. It could fly and escape from cultivators. It could be said that it was full of spirituality. Its effects were even more terrifying. It could increase a martial artist's power, extend their lifespan, and even bring the dead back to life. It could be said that its effects were extremely miraculous. This was definitely a rare treasure. This kind of psychic old medicine was very rare in the outside world. To think that it actually appeared in this primeval forest. That's right. Unfortunately, the appearance of this psychic medicine is going to cause a rain of blood and a foul wind. If you don't have a special need for the psychic old herb, Brother Long shouldn't get involved in this mess. Leaf Dao Denier said slowly. This was because he knew that Lin Xian was just a rogue cultivator without a sect behind him. It would be very dangerous for him to participate in such a competition. Indeed, many experts had landed in this primeval forest, causing the situation here to become very complicated. Those top sects could be said to be extremely terrifying. Under their combined strength, even a genius martial artist would be defeated. After that, Leaf Dao Denier left. But Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He did not expect that what these people were fighting over was actually the psychic old medicine. This was a rare divine medicine and it was very useful to him. How could he not fight for it? Moreover, the cultivation of the almighties of the various major factions that were the greatest threat to him had already been suppressed by the rules here. With his heavenly dragon's 8 steps, that extreme speed allowed him to fight against the various major factions. At least his safety was guaranteed. Then he and the dark red divine dragon set off. The two of them quickly set off, preparing to search for the psychic old medicine. Not long after, they heard the sound of fighting in front of them. The two of them were delighted, thinking that it must be related to the psychic old medicine. Therefore they increased their speed. Whoosh, whoosh. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon landed and discovered a few corpses in front of them. Moreover, there was an intense battle in front of them. It was a very tall figure like a demonic beast, emitting an incomparably terrifying aura. With a wave of his arm, countless gusts of wind were brought up. A terrifying aura filled the entire space. In the distance, Lin Xian's pupils constricted when he saw that figure. He was no stranger to this figure. It was the tall youth he met on the beach, Ouyang Feng. Ouyang Feng was a martial artist from the Four Symbols Sacred Grounds, and his strength was incomparably terrifying. Ouyang Feng's opponent was not weak either. It was a man in a black robe with a sinister aura around him. With a wave of his hand, a terrifying cold wind blew. Blue ice pierced the bones and blasted forward rapidly. In an instant, the entire forest was frozen. Ouyang Feng's opponent was an ice-based martial artist, and the power of his ice was extremely terrifying. It was as if it could freeze everything in the world. However, the tall demonic beast youth, Ouyang Feng laughed maniacally. He waved his fist and a terrifying force blasted the ice in the sky. Crack, crack, crack. A terrifying sound rang out, and the ice in the sky instantly cracked and fell to the ground. Not only that, the body of the black-robed youth was torn apart by a single punch. Blood gushed out and the scene was terrifying. Seeing this scene, even Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon's hearts beat wildly. One had to admit that Ouyang Feng's strength was too violent. It was as if he was a human-shaped dragon. The demonic beast youth, Ouyang Feng, sneered disdainfully after defeating his opponent. However, in the next moment he suddenly turned around. His gaze was like a cold blade as he stared at Lin Xian. "Who is it? Get out here!" He shouted coldly, and his voice turned into a powerful force that blasted toward Ouyang Feng. Boom! Suddenly, the mountain peak in the distance exploded, and Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon appeared in another place in a flash. "What? It's you?" The demonic beast youth, Ouyang Feng, was stunned when he saw Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon, but his expression soon turned cold. "Kid, what are you doing here? This is not a place where you can come. Get out of here if you know what's good for you." Ouyang Feng's nerves were cold as he looked down at Lin Xian. On the other side, a figure also walked out from the forest. It was another youth and he was also the one who appeared on the beach. He looked at Lin Xian with disdain. "Kid, you have to know your place. You're just a wandering cultivator. You don't have the qualifications to fight for the treasure. If you didn't know Yi Wudao, you would be a dead man by now." The two of them had arrogant looks on their faces, and they didn't put Lin Xian in their eyes at all. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, and his lips curled into a cold smile. When he met Lu Mingyue and the others in the valley, he didn't attack because he didn't know what they were fighting for. Chapter 1745. Treasures are ownerless. Anyone can look for them. If you can look for them, why can't I? Lin Xian sneered. Do you really think you're superior? You want to look for treasures too? You're overestimating yourself. You're just a rogue cultivator. How dare you compete with us? Looks like you don't know what's good for you. I'll give you one last chance. Get lost. Otherwise, you'll be in big trouble. Ouyang Feng snorted with a murderous look in his eyes. Lin Xian's face darkened. Ouyang Feng's attitude annoyed him, so he didn't answer. Instead, he raised his fist and punched at Ouyang Feng. "You're courting death." Ouyang Feng was furious. How dare Ouyang Feng attack him? In the next moment he also punched out quickly. At the same time, a terrifying aura surged from his body and instantly filled the entire space. Boom, boom. In the next moment, everything around him was smashed apart. It couldn't withstand the aura at all. The surrounding forest was instantly blasted into powder. The mountain peak in the distance also exploded. It turned into countless boulders and rolled to the ground. That terrifying aura made one's scalp tingle. It was a shocking scene. Everything was smashed into pieces. It couldn't withstand the aura at all. Bang! A terrifying fist broke through the air with endless energy. It condensed the power of a savage beast and blasted toward Lin Xian. In the next moment, the terrifying fist shadows collided in the air with a deafening sound. A terrifying storm tore through the void. Kill! Lin Xian shouted coldly. Sword chi surged from his body and a huge sword ray shot into the sky. What? He's a swordsman. The surrounding warriors exclaimed. Ouyang Feng was also surprised. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to block his punch. It was too surprising. There were also warriors watching the battle. When they saw Lin Xian block Ouyang Feng's punch, they gasped. They knew how powerful Ouyang Feng was. In this forest, he had killed many experts with one punch. Could be said that he was an extremely fearful demon king. But now, there was actually someone who could block his attack. It was simply too shocking. Dazzling sword chi swept out in all directions. At this moment, the entire space was filled with violent sword chi, quickly enveloping Ouyang Feng. It's useless. Ouyang Feng sneered. Fighting with me is the biggest mistake of your life. He roared and threw out a punch. The terrifying fist collided with the sword chi that filled the sky, creating an earth-shattering sound. Clang, clang. The void trembled and the earth cracked. However, to Ouyang Feng's surprise, the sword chi that filled the sky did not crack. This was something that surprised him greatly. One had to know that his fist was extremely powerful, and it could even blast open the body of a 6-star king. But now he was actually unable to break through his opponent's sword chi. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. Even Sun Yang, who was watching from the side, was frowning. To be honest, he didn't care about Lin Xian at all before, but he didn't expect that the other party's strength would exceed their expectations. So powerful. 4 symbols sacred grounds? You're just SOSO. Is this what gives you the right to be arrogant? What a joke. Lin Xian held the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand and walked forward step by step like a god of death. With every step he took, the aura on his body became more tyrannical. In the end, a sword chi pierced through heaven and earth. It was incomparably sharp, as if it was a heavenly sword. It was terrifying to the extreme. You're courting death. Kid, I'll let you know my true power today. On the other side, Ouyang Feng was furious. As a genius, he had never been looked down upon like this. Therefore, in the next moment, he roared angrily, and the aura on his body suddenly erupted. He waved his fists and light shone. An immemorial mammoth appeared, letting out a dull roar. That scene was too terrifying. The immemorial mammoth was like a demonic mountain. It was incomparably heavy, and its terrifying roar caused the entire forest to tremble. Then the immemorial mammoth rushed toward Lin Xian with its fists. Bang! Bang! The void could not withstand this force at all and directly cracked. Lin Xian's expression was extremely solemn. He had to admit that the other party's strength was too terrifying. However, it was impossible for them to defeat him with this amount of power. In the next moment he snorted coldly, raised his arm, and brandished the 9 darkness demonic sword. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated. Terrifying sword chi turned into a boundless galaxy, slashing forward. In an instant, black sword chi that filled the sky enveloped that immemorial mammoth. In the void, a terrifying sound was emitted. The two people's attacks exploded in the air, covering the entire space. Even those martial artists watching the battle in the surroundings had a change in expression, running toward the back like crazy. Because this explosion was seriously too terrifying. If they were swept into it, they would not be able to resist at all. Who is this person? So powerful. He could actually contend with Ouyang Feng. Everyone looked at Lin Xian, extremely shocked. On the other side, Ouyang Feng was shocked again. The fist art that he displayed just now was an ultimate skill of the 4 symbols holy lance. The immemorial mammoth fist could summon the phantom of an immemorial mammoth and use it to fight. One could say that the power was terrifying to the extreme. Even a 6-star sovereign could not trap it. And the other party's sword chi was actually blocked. This surprised him. Not only that, the swift and fierce aura that the other party's sword chi carried made him have a feeling of fear and trepidation. Who is this kid? How can he possibly possess such a sharp sword Dao aura? He seriously could not figure out how an itinerant cultivator could possibly possess such formidable power. The next moment, Ouyang Feng roared angrily and attacked again. Immemorial mammoth fist. In the void, the silhouettes of immemorial mammoths appeared once more. But this time there were 2. The 2 immemorial mammoths stood indomitable, emitting terrifying power from all over their bodies. Countless light rays revolved around them as if these 2 immemorial mammoths could suppress everything in the world. 2 immemorial mammoths? How terrifying. In the distance, the martial artists watching the battle felt their hearts beat wildly. Because just this aura alone made them tremble uncontrollably. If facing it head-on, they probably could not block a blow at all. This Ouyang Feng is too powerful to actually be able to condense 2 immemorial mammoths. As far as I know, each additional immemorial mammoth, the power will double. What? Double? You're saying that the power of this punch is double of the previous punch. Heavens, just what kind of fist art is this? Is he still human? After everyone heard this news, their scalps tingled. That punch from before was already extremely terrifying. Now, it even doubled. Just how terrifying would it be? They did not dare to imagine. Most likely, it was very difficult for anyone to block in the same rank. Opposite, Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. He felt a terrifying aura from the 2 immemorial mammoth phantoms. Chapter 1746. He didn't dare to be careless. With a wave of his hand, the dragon sword domain appeared and floated around him. As soon as the dragon sword domain appeared, a terrifying sword aura shot into the sky. The sharp aura made the entire space unable to withstand it. The surrounding cultivators were even trembling, a hint of fear appearing in their eyes. Heavens, what a terrifying sword Dao domain. Why do I feel that young man is not weaker than Ouyang Feng at all? Yeah, this sword aura is too sharp. I've never seen it before. Who is he? On the opposite side, Ouyang Feng's pupils shrank when he saw Lin Xian's dragon sword domain. Needless to say, the other party's sharp aura made him feel threatened. therefore he didn't hesitate and quickly moved. With a punch, two immemorial demonic elephants roared and rushed toward Lin Xian. Terrifying power surged, and the earth shook as if there was a huge earthquake. The two immemorial demonic elephants each had destructive power, enough to kill a 6-star king. Now that two of them appeared together, the scene was extremely terrifying. On the opposite side, Lin Xian didn't hesitate. He waved the 9 Serenities demonic sword, and the dragon sword domain around him trembled quickly. Rays of dazzling sword aura swept out, protecting him. At the same time, more sword aura slashed forward. Boom, boom. Lin Xian attacked aggressively. Every ray of sword aura was extremely sharp, as if it could destroy everything. In the end, the sword aura that filled the sky intertwined and formed an azure dragon. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it pounced on the two immemorial demonic elephants. Boom, boom. The sky collapsed and a terrifying aura swept out in all directions. At this moment, Ouyang Feng snorted and waved his fist quickly. Demonic elephant sky suppression. He roared, and the two immemorial demonic elephant phantoms roared into the sky. The light on their bodies soared into the sky, and the two immemorial demonic elephants' bodies continued to grow. They were like two immemorial stone tablets trying to suppress the azure dragon. The immemorial demonic elephant was a very powerful demonic beast in ancient times. It was rumored to be a demonic beast that suppressed hell. At this moment, when Ouyang Feng used it, it was extremely terrifying. The two immemorial demonic elephants gradually grew bigger and covered the sky, trying to suppress the azure dragon sword aura. Suppress. Ouyang Feng roared, and the azure dragon sword aura was directly suppressed. What? He actually suppressed it? This immemorial demonic elephant is too terrifying. It can even suppress such a sharp sword energy. I'm afraid nothing in this world can stop it. When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, their scalps went numb. Ouyang Feng sneered, "Kid, you're going to lose. You want to fight me with this little bit of strength? The difference is too great." Lin Xian's face darkened as he coldly snorted. In the next moment, the great dragon sword soul within his body began to revolve wildly, causing the void in front of him to tremble violently. An earth-shattering sound rang out as the two immemorial demonic mammoths in front of him collapsed. Boundless sword chi gushed out from below and shot up into the sky. Then it transformed into an azure dragon that roared at the sky. A terrifying aura swept out in all directions. What? He's out. When everyone saw this scene, their scalps went numb. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian was bound to lose, but they did not expect that in the blink of an eye, the sword chi azure dragon would rush out. It had to be said that it was really too surprising. Even Ouyang Feng's pupils constricted, and his face was full of shock. He did not expect that his two immemorial demonic mammoths would be shattered. What kind of sword chi was that? How could it be so powerful? You finished your attack. Next it's my turn. Lin Xian said coldly. He held the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand, and in a flash he arrived on top of the sword chi azure dragon. Then one man and one dragon quickly charged forward. Boom. The terrifying sword chi tore through heaven and earth and slashed toward Ouyang Feng. Seeing the shocking sword chi, Ouyang Feng moved his body and quickly dodged. However, he still underestimated the sword chi because he could not dodge it at all. Ouyang Feng's face was gloomy as he quickly waved his palm. The light on his body bloomed and instantly formed a huge demonic mammoth's head. It was as if a gate of hell was placed in front of him. In the next moment, the shocking sword chi slashed on the black gate formed by the immemorial demonic mammoth, making a loud noise. However, the black gate of hell was too terrifying. It was incomparably hard and was not damaged. There was not even a crack on it. For a moment, everyone was shocked. Even Lin Xian frowned slightly. He did not expect Ouyang Feng's defense to be so strong. White Tiger Aura. After blocking Lin Xian's shocking sword chi, Ouyang Feng roared again. In the next moment, his fist technique changed rapidly, and a terrifying murderous aura gushed out from his body. At this moment, Ouyang Feng was tall and his black hair fluttered in the wind. He really looked like a demonic beast and was extremely terrifying. As his fists moved, a loud and clear whistling sound could be heard. The sound shook the forest and made people's blood boil. A huge white tiger appeared in his palm, roaring and rushing toward Lin Xian. The azure dragon on the left and the white tiger on the right. The white tiger was in charge of attacking, and its murderous aura was extremely terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it rushed toward Lin Xian in an overwhelming manner, as if it was going to tear him apart. Lin Xian's expression was grave as well. He did not expect Ouyang Feng's random fist technique to be so terrifying. This white tiger phantom before his eyes made all the hairs on his body stand on end. In the next moment he roared and waved his fist. The apocalyptic black dragon fist surged out violently. The black fist surged and formed a huge black dragon, covering the sky and emitting a terrifying aura. In the surroundings, black lightning fell and pierced through the void. Boom! In the fierce battle, powerful energy swept in all directions, drowning the entire sky and turning it into chaos. After blocking Ouyang Feng's white tiger aura, Lin Xian attacked again. With a wave of his hand, a black dragon claw quickly grabbed at Ouyang Feng as if it was going to tear him in half. Crack, crack, crack. The void split open in an instant. A terrifying crack appeared and spread towards Ouyang Feng at a high speed. Brr. Ouyang Feng roared and his eyes were bloodshot. He waved his fists and a terrifying energy surged forward. Get lost. White tiger demonic tattoos appeared on his body, and it was extremely terrifying. Clang. In a shocking collision, Ouyang Feng dodged Lin Xian's attack. However, he was incomparably shocked. Ouyang Feng was too powerful, so powerful that he could not believe it. On the other side, Lin Xian was also shocked, but in the next moment he snorted coldly. He put away the 9 underworld demonic sword. Ouyang Feng, martial artist of the 4 symbols sacred grounds, aren't you proud of your fist techniques? Today I will defeat you with my fist techniques. What? Hearing this, the crowd was in an uproar and they could not believe it. They already knew that Lin Xian was a swordsman. His sword chi was sharp, and with his terrifying sword techniques he could contend with Ouyang Feng. But now, Ouyang Feng wanted to give up his advantage and use his fist techniques to contend with Ouyang Feng. Chapter 1747. Lin Xian wanted to give up his advantage and fight Ouyang Feng with his fists. Wasn't this courting death? One had to know that Ouyang Feng was most proficient in terrifying fist techniques. Ouyang Feng sneered when he heard Lin Xian's words. Stupid boy, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. To be honest, he was about to go crazy. Lin Xian dared to look down on him. He had to kill Lin Xian. On the other side, Ouyang Feng's companion, Sun Yang, sneered. What an idiot. He didn't use his sword and dared to fight Ouyang Feng with his fists? Looks like this boy is really dead. Ouyang Feng laughed wildly when he saw Lin Xian giving up his sword and competing with his fists. Then he waved his fists and used the white tiger divine fist. A terrifying white tiger shadow rushed forward. Lin Xian also quickly brandished his fist technique. He did not use the apocalyptic black dragon fist, but another fist technique. The 5 elements fist. This fist was a unique skill of the 5 elements sect. Lin Xian naturally didn't know it. But he had the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul was an offensive saint technique that could simulate everything. Lin Xian had seen the 5 elements fist before and could simulate it with the Great Dragon Sword. For a moment he used the metal element fist of the 5 elements fists. The sky was filled with golden light. It was terrifying. The metal element fist of the 5 elements fist was similar to the white tiger divine fist. It focused on killing and was extremely fierce. Moreover, the fist contained the Great Dragon Sword Soul. When it was used, it was even more terrifying. In the next moment, the terrifying golden fist collided with the white tiger divine fist. There were countless collisions in the air. Lin Xian's fist was too violent. The golden light was like a wave, violently slapping in all directions. However, Ouyang Feng was no weakling. The white tiger divine fist was terrifying. The huge white tiger shadow, carrying terrifying energy, collided with the golden light in the sky and tore it apart. For a moment, both of them disappeared in the sky. What a fierce fist. When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, they immediately exclaimed in surprise. They thought that since Lin Xian had abandoned his sword, he would definitely be at a disadvantage and might even be defeated in one move. However, he didn't expect his opponent's fist technique to be so powerful. That golden light was in no way inferior to sword chi. No wonder he dared to compete with Ouyang Feng in fist techniques. Damn it, how can this kid's fist technique be so powerful? Ouyang Feng's face was also ugly. He did not expect his opponent's fist technique to be so terrifying. It was not any weaker than his white tiger divine fist. It even made his hair stand on end. Damn brat, I don't believe you. Die. Ouyang Feng roared and performed another fist technique. Above his fist, a terrifying light flashed, falling from the sky like a Milky Way. This scene was simply too astonishing. It was as if a true divine river from the 9 heavens was descending from the immortal palace. Lin Xian also snorted coldly and changed his fist technique again. The fist of metal became the fist of water. The boundless sea. The seawater in the sky surged and the entire space seemed to have turned into an ocean. It was densely packed and every inch of space was filled with the power of the seawater. It was hard to defend against it. Boom, boom, boom. The 7 Milky Ways that Ouyang Feng shot out were instantly drowned. Not only that, but his body also kept retreating. What? When the surrounding people saw this scene, their eyes widened. They couldn't believe that Ouyang Feng was forced to retreat. Moreover, he was forced to retreat in fist techniques. This was simply too unbelievable. Ouyang Feng's face was also ugly. He couldn't believe that his opponent had defeated him in fist techniques. One had to know that he was a genius martial artist from the 4 Symbols Sacred Ground. His strength was terrifying and it was difficult for him to find a match among those of the same level. Even the older generation figures were no match for him. However, now, someone who was obviously younger than him and was a lone cultivator had forced him to retreat. He couldn't accept this. Therefore, in the next moment, he roared and performed his king's domain. This time he was going to go all out. Otherwise, he would be too ashamed to continue living after being defeated by his opponent today. Ouyang Feng's king's domain was extremely terrifying. It was formed by the immemorial demonic elephants. It was extremely thick and heavy as if it could crush the void. In an instant, the immemorial demonic elephant domain enveloped Lin Xian. Suddenly Lin Xian felt the pressure. It was as if 100,000 mountains were mercilessly pressing down on his head, crushing his body. Lin Xian's eyes burst out with a bright light. He quickly waved his fists. Terrifying power surged out and the golden light shone even brighter. It covered the sky and covered the earth, rushing towards his opponent's entire domain. At that moment, the golden light on Lin Xian's fists turned into golden swords and were extremely sharp. Boom, boom. There was an intense collision. The golden light violently blasted on the immemorial demonic elephant domain, and the void shook violently. The surrounding martial artists quickly retreated. The ground cracked and huge cracks appeared and spread into the distance. In the sky, a golden storm had formed. It was like a golden sun. Boom. In the end, the golden storm exploded and swept out in all directions. Ouyang Feng's face was pale, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Then his body was on the verge of collapse. Because in the explosion, his king's domain also exploded, causing him to be seriously injured. Ouyang Feng was injured. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists felt their scalps go numb. Sun Yang, who was standing aside, was even more shocked. To be honest, he really did not expect things to turn out this way. Previously, he did not expect this scene at all. Damn it, impossible. I don't believe it. Ouyang Feng's hair was disheveled and his face was crazed. He really could not believe that his opponent had defeated him in fist techniques. Damn it, this is the 5 Elements fist. Are you from the 5 Elements sect? Ouyang Feng gritted his teeth and asked. What? The 5 Elements sect? Everyone was shocked. Yes, he is indeed using the 5 Elements fist, someone exclaimed. Is he really a martial artist from the 5 Elements sect? However, on the other side, Sun Yang frowned. Impossible, the 5 Elements sect's people have such power. We all know them. But this kid, we have never heard of him. They were too confused. It doesn't matter which sect I am from. What's important is that everything is over. Lin Xian said coldly and then waved the earth element fist. Suddenly the earth surged and 2 large yellow hands appeared, grabbing at Ouyang Feng. At the same time, a huge mountain fell from the sky. Boom. In an instant the sky was crushed. Ouyang Feng used his movement technique and disappeared from the spot. With a boom, the void cracked and turned into a large black rift valley, pierced by the huge mountain. At the same time, a wave fell from the sky. A terrifying force rushed out, affecting the entire space and causing a tsunami to occur in the entire forest. The surrounding area collapsed. Chapter 1748. At the same time, there was a wave that fell from the sky. A terrifying force rushed out and affected the entire space, causing a tsunami to occur in the entire forest. Everything around them collapsed. It was the water element fist. It was extremely terrifying. On the side, Sun Yang pulled Ouyang Feng and the 2 of them quickly retreated. That was because the current Lin Xian was simply too powerful. They simply couldn't withstand him. Ouyang Feng's face was gloomy, but he also retreated with them. Because he couldn't figure out Lin Xian's true identity at all. Why did he use the 5 element fist? And the power was terrifying? You want to leave? Lin Xian snorted and waved his fist again. Suddenly, boundless waves swept out and surrounded the surroundings. You're courting death. Get lost. Ouyang Feng was furious. He did not expect that Lin Xian would not let them leave. It was too much. In the next moment he summoned 2 immemorial demonic elephants again and rushed out. The terrifying demonic elephant shadows roared in the void palace and crushed the surroundings. On the other side, Sun Yang pulled out a large black flag from the void and kept spinning it. Suddenly, boundless black light surged like a black ocean, pressing down from the sky. In the next moment, it collided with Lin Xian's water element fist, causing a huge explosion. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the 2 of them quickly retreated like lightning. Kid, I'll remember what happened today. The next time we meet, I'll wash away today's humiliation. Ouyang Feng's voice came from afar. Lin Xian's eyes were like lightning and his expression was cold, but he did not pursue. He knew that it was easy to defeat Ouyang Feng, but it would be difficult to kill him now. However, from now on Ouyang Feng would not dare to be presumptuous in front of him. The people around them felt their scalps go numb. They looked at Lin Xian with fear. They did not expect the nameless young man in front of them to be so terrifying. Even Ouyang Feng was no match for him. Soon, everyone retreated and did not dare to stay there. They were afraid of being targeted by Lin Xian. After everyone left, Lin Xian used the art of longevity to quickly heal the wounds on his body and the spirit energy he had consumed. The spirit qi in the surroundings surged rapidly towards him, causing his body to glow. It didn't take long for him to recover. One day later he learned from other warriors that after Ouyang Feng and Sun Yang had left that day, someone had attacked them. The 2 of them engaged in an earth-shattering battle before finally leaving. This greatly shocked Lin Xian. It seemed that other than him, there were other experts hidden in this forest. More and more geniuses arrived at the woods. However, he was not afraid. Instead, the blood in his body surged and his eyes were full of fighting spirit, because he was very confident in himself. After that, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon continued their journey. Not long after, the 2 of them frowned. The reason for that was because they discovered a huge footprint in front of them. Furthermore, the footprints belonged to a human. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon looked at each other and saw the seriousness in each other's eyes. The dark red divine dragon's eyes flickered as he said in a deep voice, "Look at the footprints. Could it be the legendary giant clan?" The giant clan? They actually exist in this forest too. Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. Then the 2 of them walked forward again. Gradually, Lin Xian and the rest discovered that something was amiss. This was because they realized that the forest was too quiet. There was no sound at all. One had to know that this was really too strange. This was a primeval forest with countless monsters around. There would definitely be sounds of beasts roaring. But now there was no sound at all. It was as if all the monsters had disappeared. The dark red divine dragon shrunk his neck. "Kid, this place is a little strange. Let's be careful." Lin Xian was also a little scared. This scene was too terrifying. The 2 of them walked carefully. An hour later, the surrounding forest gradually opened up. It was no longer a dense forest but became sparse. There were even large open spaces in some places. What shocked the 2 of them even more was that there were huge footprints left on the ground. It was obvious that this was the living area of the giants. Ping ping ping. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble as if there was an earthquake. Then a huge figure appeared in front of Lin Xian. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air when he saw the figure. It was indeed a giant. It was dozens of meters tall and walked with a majestic gait. It was like a small mountain full of power. The young man who looked like a demonic beast, Ouyang Feng, was like a baby in front of this giant. Not only that, the giant was holding a huge mountain-splitting axe in one hand and a terrifying monster wolf in the other. But at this moment, it was already torn to pieces. That monster wolf was at least at the Demon King level. These giants were actually feeding on Demon Kings. One had to admit that it was truly terrifying. Not only that, Lin Xian's face became gloomy in the next moment. That was because he discovered that behind the giant, 2 more giants had appeared. At the same time, there was a figure standing on the shoulder of one of the giants. He was no stranger to that figure. It was the demon girl of the Demon King Palace, Zhao Tianxia. Damn it, why is this woman with these giants? Lin Xian frowned. He had been very uneasy since he let her escape last time. He didn't expect her to find these giants. Damn it, this woman must be eliminated. Lin Xian frowned. He realized that the other party was too mysterious. She could constantly summon powerful companions. Zhao Tianxia, who was on the giant in front, also had a sharp gaze. she discovered Lin Xian's existence. Then a cold smile appeared on her beautiful face. Capture the two of them. I want them alive. Zhao Qianxia pointed into the distance and gave the order. Brr. Suddenly the two giants let out angry roars. The sound was very terrifying. It was like a clap of thunder, shattering the surrounding clouds. Not only that, the two huge bodies also began to move. The entire ground shook violently. What the hell? This woman is crazy. The dark red dragon screamed. He didn't expect her to be able to command these giants. This was simply too unbelievable. Lin Xian's face also darkened. He couldn't understand how she did it. But he knew that he was in great danger now. The next moment he shouted coldly. His body swayed quickly and retreated. However, at this moment huge figures appeared behind them, ready to block them. In an instant, four giants stood in all directions trying to capture them. Chapter 1749. The four giants were like impenetrable walls, blocking Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon, completely surrounding them. Zhao Qianxia, on the other hand, pushed another giant to the front. Brat, you didn't expect this day to come, did you? How dare you be so rude to me before? This is unforgivable. But don't worry, as long as you obediently become my cauldron, I'll let you live. Otherwise you'll be smashed into a bloody mist by these giants. Humph. Lin Xian snorted. Become their cauldron? How could he live? The other party was obviously trying to suck him dry. Do you think you can stop me with just 4 giants? What a joke. Lin Xian said coldly. Then he turned around and shot up into the sky like a bolt of lightning. Boom. The dark red divine dragon also turned into a red bolt of lightning and flew to the side. Trying to escape? Zhao Qianxia snorted and then urged one of the giants to attack. Boom. A huge palm covered the sky and pounced on Lin Xian. The size of the palm was too terrifying. Even a 6-star king would not be able to survive if he was hit. However, Lin Xian was different. He had the extreme speed of the heavenly dragon's 8 steps, so at the critical moment he moved sideways. He quickly dodged the shocking attack. Boom. The palm missed and the void cracked. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon shot up into the sky and left the encirclement. Then the two turned into lightning and quickly moved into the distance. Chase after them. Zhao Qianxia shouted. She did not expect the other party to be able to escape her encirclement. However, so what if the other party could escape temporarily? With the help of these giants she could definitely catch the other party. In the next moment these giants began to run. They were like small mountains moving quickly. Although these giants were huge, they were not slow at all. They covered more than 100 feet in a single step. Their speed was shocking. Not only that, wherever they passed the forest collapsed and the ground cracked, creating a terrifying scene. This kind of vibration finally attracted the attention of other martial artists. Many figures gathered over here. When they saw those enormous and terrifying giants, their scalps went numb and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. Heavens, what is this? Fuck. It's a giant. There are giants in this forest. Cries of surprise rang out one after another. However, when they saw Zhao Qianxia on the giant's shoulder, they were even more shocked. Isn't that woman Zhao Qianxia from the Demon Imperial Palace? She's actually with these giants? This is unbelievable. As a top force, the Fey Imperial Palace is incomparably mysterious. This Zhao Qianxia is a genius of the Fey Imperial Palace. He must have a secret technique that allows him to communicate with these giants. Some experts guess the secret. But in any case, Zhao Qianxia's ability to control giants was truly shocking. This was especially true for the martial artists from the major forces. Each and every one of them wore solemn expressions. One had to know that the Almighty's cultivation levels were suppressed in this area, and they could no longer unleash their peak combat strength. However, it did not affect the relationship between the various major powers, because all the Almighties were suppressed. But now, Zhao Qianxia was actually able to control the terrifying giants. This undoubtedly increased the strength of the Fey Imperial Palace. For a moment, everyone was worried. They even secretly wondered if they could withstand the attacks of the giants. However, at this moment someone exclaimed, "Look, these giants seem to be chasing someone." Hearing this, everyone hurriedly looked over. Sure enough, they saw 2 figures running quickly in front of them. What? It's him. Many people were shocked when they saw Lin Xian's figure. Who is this kid? Some of them did not know. Therefore, someone told them about the battle between Lin Xian and Ouyang Feng. Immediately, the surrounding martial artists gasped. They had heard of Ouyang Feng's strength. He was a humanoid demonic beast with infinite strength. He was extremely terrifying. However, the youth in front of them was actually able to defeat Ouyang Feng. It was simply too shocking. Needless to say, he was definitely an extremely powerful existence. The news of Zhao Qianxia controlling giants to chase after Ling Xian quickly spread. More and more martial artists gathered. On the other side, Lin Xian's figure was like lightning as he shuttled quickly with the dark red dragon. At this moment, one of the giants roared and grabbed a mountain peak. It ruthlessly smashed towards Lin Xian. This scene was simply too shocking. A mountain peak that was hundreds of feet tall was directly uprooted from the ground. One could imagine how terrifying these giants were. Boom. The huge mountain peak fell, forcing Lin Xian and the dark red dragon to change direction. However, this change in direction was caught up by the other two giants and they were once again surrounded. Boom. A huge palm with astonishing energy slammed down ruthlessly. The other giant raised his foot and quickly stepped on Lin Xian. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. Their speed was extremely fast as they constantly dodged. Finally, they narrowly avoided the attacks of the giants. The ground cracked open. It was extremely terrifying. The surrounding forest collapsed once again. At this moment, another giant rushed over and uprooted another mountain peak, sweeping it towards Lin Xian. Terrifying air waves rolled and the void trembled. The momentum of this attack was extremely terrifying. As for Lin Xian and the dark red dragon, their speed was extremely fast and they instantly disappeared before everyone's eyes. Damn it. Seeing that the other party had completely left their sight and disappeared without a trace, Zhao Qianxia was furious. She did not expect that the other party's speed would be so fast that even the giants could not catch up. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb and their expressions were horrified. The power displayed by these giants was simply too terrifying. Ordinary kings would not be able to withstand a single blow in front of them. Even those powerful demon kings would not be able to contend against these giants. For a moment, everyone looked at Zhao Qianxia with horrified expressions. However, they were also extremely shocked by Lin Xian's speed. The other party's speed was simply too fast. They could not keep up. It could be said that Lin Xian and Zhao Qianxia were existences that made people tremble. On the other side, Lin Xian completely avoided the attacks of these giants and entered the forest. After completely escaping from the pursuit of the giants, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon arrived at a safe place. Fuck. That woman is too despicable. She can actually control the giants. The dark red dragon's face darkened as he gritted his teeth. This time, it was fortunate that they had the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. Otherwise, they would not have been able to escape. Lin Xian's expression was also grave. He had to think of a way to get rid of these giants. Otherwise, their threat would be too great. Chapter 1750. Those giants were terrifying. Each of them was no weaker than a 6-star king. They might be able to fight one-on-one. However, if 5 giants attacked together, they would not be able to defeat them at all. It seemed that the best way was to find some powerful beasts to fight against these giants. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Think of a way. Can we make these giants fight with the beasts? Then we can reap the benefits. That's a good idea. The dark red dragon's eyes were also shining. In the next few days, the two began to run around looking for powerful monster kings. The 6-armed ape was one. Other than that, they also found a terrifying 3-headed lion. There was also a huge green-winged exotic beast. It was a terrifying beast. These monster kings were too powerful. Lin Xian could not subdue them at all. What he needed to do was to interfere with these monster kings. For example, he could use the 5-colored divine stone as bait for the 6-armed ape. The green-winged exotic beast could steal its egg and make it go berserk. As for the 3-headed lion, he needed the 1,000-beast cauldron and his heavenly secret superpower to cast an illusion. Since he had found a way, Lin Xian was ready to return to the giants to investigate the situation. However, before that, he, the little white monkey, and the dark red dragon stole the green-winged exotic beast's egg and lured it to the giant valley. At the same time, he pushed the 1,000-beast cauldron with all his strength to lure the 3-headed lion over. Then, he let the dark red dragon control the 1,000-beast cauldron and set up a few formations to hide the 3 powerful monster kings. He would wait until he had a thorough understanding of the giant valley before he prepared to take action. Soon he came to the empty valley again. Even from afar he could sense the terrifying aura emitted by those giants. However, this time Lin Xian was more cautious than before. He restrained his aura and was like a ghost. No one noticed this process. However, the giant valley this time was a little different from before. The original giant valley was abnormally quiet. There was no movement at all. However, it was a little lively now. This was because there were many martial artists in the giant valley. It seemed that he was not the only one who had designs on the giant valley. However, the others did not dare to be as bold as him and directly start a war with the giant. Those people were probably here to seek refuge with Zhao Tianxia. After all, the giants were too terrifying. If they could borrow the power of the giants, they would be able to obtain heaven-defying benefits. Plus, there was Zhao Tianxia in the giant valley. It would be a great fortune to be able to take in such a beauty. Therefore, for a time, many martial artists flocked over. Zhao Tianxia didn't reject anyone who was willing to join him. From the looks of it, she wanted to build a powerful force in this forest. The current situation in the Tilted Moon Profound World was very subtle. As for how long it would take for the Profound World to open again, no one knew. As for those who entered the Profound World, most of them were unable to pass through the Sea of Death and reach this land. Those who could come here were all elites. Under normal circumstances, the disciples of the major powers would not be worried at all. This was because they were followed by sect elders and mighty figures. But now, the Almighty's cultivation had been suppressed, so their safety was not guaranteed. Therefore, these people secretly began to form an alliance. Zhao Tianxia was no exception. Now that she had the giants, her strength had greatly increased. Naturally, she was the first to form an alliance in a high-profile manner. She believed that with the help of these giants and her charm techniques, she would be able to build a powerful force in this forest. At that time, all the treasures in this forest would belong to her. This woman's ambition was not small. Lin Xian snorted coldly and looked around again. But soon his face darkened. The reason for that was because he discovered that there was an enormous stele before the ravine. There were a few lines of words written on it. It meant that anyone who provided the whereabouts of Lin Xian would be rewarded handsomely. If they could capture him personally, Zhao Tianxia would spend the night with that martial artist. On the side there was a portrait of Lin Xian. This news directly stimulated the martial artists near the valley. Everyone's eyes were red. They wanted nothing more than to capture Lin Xian immediately. They had no choice. Spending a night with Zhao Tianxia, even if they were asked to die immediately, they would probably be willing. Lin Xian's face was gloomy. He did not expect the other party to come up with such a plan. It seemed that he had to deal with the giant valley first. Sure enough, once the news came out, more martial artists gathered in the valley, wanting to join Zhao Tianxia's organization. Of course, not everyone would come. Some disciples of the powerful sects would not form an alliance with others. Instead, they would form their own small groups. Some even wanted to make a move on Zhao Tianxia. Because compared to Lin Xian, Zhao Tianxia's threat was too great. If she succeeded in forming an alliance, it would be difficult for others to resist. Sure enough, on the other side of the valley, Lu Mingyue was wearing a blue dress and was as beautiful as a fairy. However, at this moment, her expression was extremely solemn. Her eyes flickered as she looked into the distance. This Zhao Tianxia is really something. I didn't expect him to be able to gather such a huge force in such a short time. He's just borrowing the power of the giants. On the side, the pale young man's expression was cold. However, at this moment, Lu Mingyue spoke again. I didn't expect Long Xian's strength to exceed our expectations. Indeed, that kid was able to defeat Ouyang Feng. I have to say, it's really surprising. I suspect that his surname isn't Long at all. He's very likely the Lin Xian wanted by the Alcade Sacred Land. Lu Mingyue's eyes flickered. You're saying that he's the traitor of the Pill Sect? This time the pale young man Yan Qing was also shocked. If that's the case, then it makes sense. That kid was able to escape the Alcade Sacred Land's pursuit. He's probably not an ordinary person. I just didn't expect him to appear here. Don't worry, we don't need to do anything. Zhao Tianxia alone will make it difficult for Lin Xian to escape. Even if he escapes, the Alcade Sacred Land will definitely not let him go. Does that mean he's dead for sure? Yan Qing's lips curled into a cold smile. Of course. Lu Mingyue nodded slightly, then said, what about Ouyang Feng? Has his injuries healed? His injuries have already healed. I'm afraid he's already headed to the giant valley. What, he's really gone? Lu Mingyue was also surprised. Could he really subdue the giants? I don't know, but as a warrior of the Four Symbols Sacred Land, Ouyang Feng has a trace of the giant's bloodline in his body. Chapter 1751. After observing for a long time, Lin Xian decided to make a move. He turned into a ghost and flew into the valley. Soon he arrived at the giant valley. Wuji the snow-white monkey also jumped out. In the depths of the valley, the aura was heavy as if there were countless huge creatures, causing the entire void to freeze. Fortunately, Lin Xin was powerful and had the great dragon sword soul in his body. He was not afraid of this aura at all. This allowed him to move quickly. Lin Xin and the rest did not go to the center. Instead, they began to explore the surroundings. He had to figure out how many giants there were and how many warriors there were. He also had to take a look at the number of warriors. However, at this moment the snow-white monkey was very excited. It turned into a ray of white light and rushed forward. "Little White, come back quickly." Lin Xin transmitted his voice, afraid that Little White would attract the attention of others. At the same time he also used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. Swoosh swoosh. The snow-white monkey landed on the ground. Lin Xin quickly approached it. Wuji the snow-white monkey bared its teeth and pointed at a place in front of it. It turned out that the ground in front of them was full of potholes. However, in one of the potholes there was a ray of light. Not only that, but there was also a wave of pure energy accompanying it. This is... Lin Xin was shocked. He and the snow-white monkey quickly walked forward. Such pure energy. Lin Xin looked at the pool of liquid on the ground in shock. Little White quickly spat out the 5-colored divine stone to let it absorb the energy in the liquid. Whoosh, whoosh. The 5-colored divine stone jumped and absorbed the energy quickly. It was like a heart, releasing a 5-colored ray of light. As if it felt that it was not enough, Little White lowered its head and drank a mouthful. Immediately, it revealed a satisfied smile. Its big eyes narrowed into the shape of a crescent moon. Lin Xin also took a little and tasted it. He was shocked. This energy is comparable to a divine crystal. Could it be a divine crystal liquid? Lin Xin guessed that the liquid was most likely a divine crystal. It was just that it had not formed into a crystal. He did not expect there to be such a treasure here. It seemed that he had made the right choice this time. The 5-colored divine stone was very mysterious as it quickly absorbed the divine crystal liquid. Soon he finished absorbing the energy. Lin Xin could clearly feel that the 5-colored divine stone had become incomparably resplendent and filled with energy. It seemed that he only needed to go back and absorb the energy in the 5-colored divine stone again. Lin Xin was overjoyed. He searched again and found some more nerve fluid. He also let the 5-colored divine stone absorb all of it. Then he placed the breeze exotic beast's egg in the valley. At the same time he and the little white monkey quickly left to meet up with the dark red divine dragon. The dark red dragon removed the array formation and used the 10,000 beast cauldron to interfere with the 3-headed lion. The first to go berserk was the breeze beast. It immediately sensed that its egg was in the valley ahead. Thus he roared and flew over. Next was the 3-headed lion. Under the interference of the 1,000 beast cauldron, it madly charged forward. The 6-armed divine ape was personally controlled by Lin Xin. Lin Xin took the 5-colored divine stone and flew towards the valley ahead. The 6-armed divine ape's eyes turned red when it sensed the energy of the 5-colored divine stone. In the next moment, it roared and waved its 6 arms, roaring at the valley ahead. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant the entire valley shook violently. Countless mountains collapsed and huge rocks rolled down. Who dares to trespass into the giant valley? Do you want to die? Soon, a figure flew out from the valley and roared coldly. He was a martial artist who had just joined the giant valley. Now that he knew something was wrong outside, he naturally came to take a look. However, in the next moment his scalp went numb and he looked terrified. That was because he realized that there were 3 huge creatures rushing towards the valley. Those were 3 terrifying demonic beasts. Their demonic aura was monstrous and they were not any weaker than the giants. Seeing this, the martial artist's scalp went numb. He turned around and ran into the valley. However, in the next moment, a green light lit up. Then a huge wind blade cut him in half. The breeze beast roared and was the first to rush into the valley. Behind him, the 3-headed lion and the 6-armed divine ape also rushed into the valley. Lin Xin used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps and quickly left the valley to meet up with the dark red divine dragon and the rest. Then they looked into the distance. The valley in front of them exploded in an instant. The terrifying aura formed a huge pillar of light that shot up into the sky. Terrifying roars could be heard. Like thunder, they reverberated through the entire forest. Countless martial artists rushed into the sky trying to escape. In short, it was a mess. Let's go. Lin Xian's scalp went numb when he saw this. He did not dare to enter the valley at all. It had become a forbidden place for the dead. Therefore in the next moment the dark red divine dragon, and the little white monkey quickly left. It was a restless night because a huge battle had broken out in the valley. 5 giants and 3 extremely powerful demon kings started fighting. It was a terrifying battle. It affected half of the forest. Even the martial artists in the distance rushed over to watch the battle. They did not expect that someone would dare to attack the giant valley. It was too shocking. One had to know that a few days ago, the strength of the 5 giants was too terrifying. No one could fight against them. However, they did not expect that just a few days later someone would attack. They even successfully attracted the attention of the 3 demon kings. The battle was terrifying. It lasted for an entire night. It was not until the next morning that the 3 demon kings left. As for the consequences, they were also extremely terrifying. The entire valley was razed to the ground. Not only that, but all the surrounding forest was also destroyed. More than half of the martial artists who originally joined the giant valley were killed in this battle. The remaining ones were also injured, and their expressions were incomparably ugly. Of the 5 giants, 1 was killed directly. 2 were seriously injured and 2 were lightly injured. It could be said that it was a disastrous battle. The 3 demon kings also retreated with serious injuries. In an instant, the news of the giant valley swept through the entire forest like a gust of wind. Zhao Qinxia's face was gloomy. She was about to go crazy. Previously, with the strength of the 5 giants, she was able to quickly gather a large group of martial artists and establish a powerful force. However, she did not expect the giant valley to be destroyed in just a few days. Not only that, but one of the giants was killed directly. The others were also injured and their strength was greatly reduced. The martial artists that she found were also mostly injured. It could be said that the heavy losses this time made her even more embarrassed. Needless to say, she was now the laughingstock of the entire forest. She didn't even see clearly who did it. However, according to her guess, it was most likely her enemy Lin Xian. Chapter 1752. Previously, he had sneaked into the giant valley and communicated with one of the giants. He had almost convinced the other party. However, he did not expect that such a battle would occur. Therefore, not only did he fail to communicate, but he was also injured in the battle. This battle was like a storm that swept through the surroundings. Everyone was guessing who was the one who did it. For a moment, everyone was in danger. Lin Xian, who was the one who did it, found a cave and chose to go into seclusion. The outside world was in chaos, while Lin Xian and the other 2 hid in a safe place, absorbing the energy in the 5-colored divine stone to increase their cultivation. The 5-colored divine stone was extremely mysterious. Ever since it absorbed the energy of the divine crystal liquid, it was filled with a pure aura. On it, the 5-colored light turned into pure energy for Lin Xian and the others to absorb. Lin Xian activated the art of longevity and continuously absorbed the 5-colored energy, transforming it into his own power. Finally, when the 5-colored divine stone became dim again, Lin Xian stopped absorbing. Then he opened his eyes and felt that his cultivation had increased by a lot. It was as if he had absorbed a divine crystal. Looking at the time, Lin Xian felt that the commotion outside was about to end. It was time to go out and take a look. Therefore, he and the dark red divine dragon carefully went out. As expected, the news of the battle in the giant valley a few days ago gradually died down. However, the atmosphere in the primeval forest all day long had become extremely tense. That was because someone had found a psychic old herb. The previous battle was because of an old herb of the same age. However, that kind of thing was very difficult to find. Everyone had searched for so many days but still could not find it. However, they did not expect that someone would find it again this time. It was a purple divine medicine that shone brightly. Its entire body was glowing and its shape was like a dragon horse. It was full of spirituality. Its strength was even extremely powerful. That was because this psychic old herb was considered a plant-type monster. In addition to having powerful magical effects, it could also cultivate. In fact, some could even cultivate to an extremely terrifying realm. Rumor had it that the great emperor would have an immortal herb by his side. That immortal herb was extremely heaven-defying and could allow the great emperor to live a second life. Not only that, but those immortal herbs were even more terrifying and they could even kill saints. While the spirit-channeling old herb before him couldn't compare to the immortal herb, it was still a terrifying existence. The first psychic medicine that looked like a dragon horse was discovered by Lu Mingyue and the others. Lu Mingyue and the others had been searching for traces of the Tonglin old medicine all along and were finally discovered by them. However, they underestimated the strength of the psychic old medicine. Therefore, due to his carelessness, he actually allowed the dragon horse psychic medicine to escape. After this, Lu Mingyue was extremely vexed because she was the one who was most likely to be the first to obtain the psychic old medicine. However, he missed this opportunity. However, the others were incomparably excited. After searching for so long, he finally found the psychic old herb again. To them, this was undoubtedly an extremely exciting piece of news. As a result, many people once again began to search wantonly. However, after so many days had passed, no one had found the spirit-communicating old herb. It was as if the spirit-communicating old herb in the shape of a dragon horse had evaporated into thin air. Everyone was speculating about the whereabouts of the psychic old herb. Some people said that it hid in a valley, some people said that it escaped underground and disappeared. There were also people who said that it left this place and went to the depths of the forest. There was even a rumor that this kind of psychic old herb had an incomparably powerful demon king guarding it. All in all, for a time, these psychic old herbs were rumored to be incomparably mysterious. This stimulated everyone even more. Battles broke out from time to time during the search. In the end, the psychic old herb was not found, but there were already many martial artists who lost their lives in this battle. In fact, even Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon also started to search for the spirit-communicating old herb. After searching for a few days, they did not have any harvest either. But very soon, another matter attracted the attention of Lin Xian and the others. Not just Lin Xian, even all the martial artists in the entire forest were all alarmed. Because the Black Sea in the distance suddenly bloomed with black light, blotting out the sky and covering the earth, as if it was the netherworld. Following that, one mysterious Tao mark after another emerged, carrying a mysterious aura. Accompanying it was a low and deep voice. "Ignorant outsider, you shall be buried on this island forever." This voice was very low and deep and incomparably aged. Seal. In the next moment, those Tao marks quickly intertwined and combined to form a powerful seal, completely sealing the entire sea. What's going on? What are those seals? Who's talking? Get out here. Angry roars sounded one after another. Obviously, everyone was stunned by this scene. Natives, damn it, it's actually the natives. It was unknown who shouted, but it instantly caused boundless panic. Naturally, they knew about the existence of the natives. Previously in the Sea of Death, they were attacked and most of the martial artists lost their lives there. However, so many days had passed and the natives did not attack again, so they had forgotten about this matter. They thought that there were probably only a few natives in this space, and they did not pose a threat to them at all. But now they did not expect the natives to appear again. Not only that, but they even directly sealed the sea. Who are you trying to scare? Do you think you can seal it just because you said so? An old man did not believe it. In the next moment, his body bloomed with a bright light, like a sharp sword light, rushing into the sky and flying towards the Sea of Death in the distance. This old man was not an ordinary person. He was a mighty figure. Although his cultivation was suppressed, his combat strength was far beyond that of a six-star king. At this moment, his figure swayed and rushed towards the Sea of Death, attracting everyone's attention. Everyone held their breaths, wanting to see if the sea was really sealed as the natives said. Or could the mighty figure break the seal? Their safety and future were at stake. In front of them, the mighty figure old man's figure was like lightning, and he soon arrived at the sea. What seal? Watch me break it. He roared and struck out with both palms. Two terrifying palms erupted with shocking light that swept through the world. The terrifying energy directly pierced through the sea. This palm was too terrifying. It could easily kill a six-star king. However, the terrifying palm hit the seal and did not cause any waves at all. Not only that, the seal was hit and flickered with a strange light. Then, it formed a terrifying bolt of lightning that instantly pierced through the mighty figure. Poof! The mighty figure old man's body fell into the sea, and his blood dyed the sea red. What? He was killed. Chapter 1753. That was an almighty. Among them he was an absolutely terrifying existence. But now he had been killed. It had to be said that this was really too shocking. What kind of seal is that? It's so terrifying. Even mighty figures can be killed easily. Doesn't this mean that we'll have to stay in this primitive forest for the rest of our lives? No. Voices of despair rang out. It was obvious that everyone had suffered a severe blow. They were geniuses and elites of the top factions. They had come here in search of opportunities. But they had not expected such a terrifying thing to happen. They had been sealed here and could not return. To them this was a form of despair. Not only them but the other martial artists, seniors, elders, and almighties also had ugly expressions on their faces. They had never expected such a thing to happen. The top factions were even more solemn. This was because there were a few very powerful people who had come this time. For example, the Alcade Sage and Yi Wudao had frightening statuses. If they died here, the Alcade Sacred Land and Yi family would probably go berserk. Especially the Yi family. As a clan of the ancients, their anger would probably burn the entire eastern wilderness. Lin Xian was also very surprised. He had not expected such a thing to happen. The dark red dragon's expression was also solemn. He said, "Kid, be careful. I'm afraid there will be a huge riot in this primitive forest soon. There's no way back now. There will definitely be a riot here and a new order will be established. Also, those peerless powerhouses need enough energy to cultivate." This was because only by breaking through to become a super mighty figure could one open the seal and return. Hearing this, Lin Xian fell silent. He knew that the dark red dragon was right. The primitive forest would probably usher in a dark age. And if he wanted to survive such chaos, he had to be strong enough. Otherwise, even if he survived, he would become someone's slave. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Without any hesitation, his body flashed and he quickly flew into the distance. He wanted to find enough dragon crystals and divine crystals to strengthen himself. Sure enough, as expected, the entire primeval forest was in turmoil in the next few days. Those who held grudges and those who were greedy attacked without regard for anything else. Because he was already in despair and had nothing to worry about. Some martial artists' enemies were disciples of holy lands. Before this, they didn't dare to make a move. Even if they were stronger than others, they didn't dare. This was because if they killed a disciple of the Holy Land, they would definitely be hunted down by the Holy Land. But now these worries were completely gone. Because no one knew if they would be able to leave this place in their lifetime, those people decided to act decisively. There were also some who were greedy for energy, martial arts, and beauties. In short, intense battles broke out in the entire primeval forest. No one was spared. Among them there were a few who were very powerful. The first was Zhao Tianxia. She had the giant and could be said to be very powerful. She also had many martial artists gathered around her. It was the first powerful force to be organized. The other was Lu Mingyue. She was a genius of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Not only was she powerful, but she was also extremely beautiful. Thus, she had gathered a group of followers. The other was the Alcade Saint. The Yaoguang Saint's son's strength was even more terrifying. Moreover, there were many people from the Yaoguang Holy Land. Therefore, under his prestige he quickly established a huge force. There was almost no one who could contend with the Alcade Saint's son. Of course, Yi Wudao was an exception. The average person didn't know Yi Wudao's identity. But those who knew Yi Wudao's identity didn't dare to underestimate him. Even the Alcade Saint's son would go all out against Yi Wudao. That was because Yi Wudao's identity was too terrifying. Apart from these people, there were also other allied organizations, large and small groups. In short, the entire primeval forest was extremely chaotic. But after a few days, the battles gradually calmed down. That was because excessive killing was useless. They had to think carefully about what to do next. On the other side, Lin Xian was secretly cultivating. Although he hadn't found any dragon crystals or divine crystals, Lin Xian didn't lack the energy to cultivate with the 5-colored divine stone in his hand. That was because the 5-colored divine stone could absorb the world's spiritual energy and transform it into 5-colored energy. Moreover, the energy it transformed into was extremely pure. It wasn't inferior to dragon crystals or divine crystals. Thus, Lin Xian's cultivation and strength were constantly increasing. However, he didn't keep cultivating. After calculating the time, he felt that the battle outside was almost over. Moreover, he also wanted to know what changes had happened in the primeval forest. He decided to go out and take a look. Sure enough, not long after Lin Xian went out, he received news of what had happened in the past few days. Just as he expected, after he left, a great battle broke out in the forest. Then the battle was extinguished. What followed was the combination of various groups and forces. Even the Alcade Saint Zhao Tianxia and the others took the lead to set the rules in this forest. There was no other way. The Alcade Saint and the others were too strong. Their strength was incomparably powerful. If they joined forces, the other small groups wouldn't dare to resist. However, these small groups weren't to be trifled with. That was because the warriors who could come to this primeval forest were all elite warriors. Although these small groups were weak, they knew how to work together to resist. For a time, the Alcade Saint and the others couldn't do anything to these small groups. Therefore, under such circumstances, they set the rules that belonged to this primeval forest. After Lin Xian heard these rules, he immediately smiled. Because one of the rules was that they couldn't fight casually. This was to prevent powerhouses from forcefully killing the weak. However, this forest had never been afraid of fighting. If they wanted to fight, they had to be witnessed by others. In other words, assassinations and rude attacks were avoided. After hearing this news, Lin Xian was overjoyed. He was still worried that those people from Scorpio would attack him crazily. Now it seemed that there shouldn't be a big problem. Therefore he directly swaggered out. Sure enough, many warriors immediately exclaimed when they saw Lin Xian. They were no stranger to Lin Xian because Lin Xian had defeated Ouyang Feng before and was even chased by Giant. In the past few days, Lin Xian hadn't shown up. They thought that Lin Xian had died in the dark riot. However, they didn't expect him to appear again. Immediately, a few organizations came out and threw an olive branch to Lin Xian, inviting him to join. Chapter 1754. Immediately, several organizations came out and extended an olive branch to Lin Xian, inviting him to join. They even offered generous conditions, including beautiful women, energy sources, and cultivation techniques. However, they were all rejected by Lin Xian. He did not want to join any organization or alliance because it would limit him. Moreover, with his and the dark red divine dragon's methods, they were like fish in water in this forest. However, it did not take long for the news of Lin Xian's return to the forest to spread. When Zhao Qianxie and the others heard the news, they all gritted their teeth and quickly rushed over. However, the first to arrive was not Zhao Qianxie, but a tall magical beast youth, Ouyang Feng. Ever since he lost to Lin Xian, he had always thought that it was the greatest humiliation of his life. Therefore, he had been cultivating hard these days and had absorbed the blood of many powerful demon kings to increase his strength again. Now he could condense 3 immemorial golems. In his opinion, he could easily defeat Lin Xian. Therefore, this time when he heard that Lin Xian had returned, he was the first to arrive. He wanted to defeat Lin Xian in front of everyone to prove himself. Lin Xian saw the tall magical beast youth opposite him and suddenly became happy. He did not expect that the first to come looking for him would be Ouyang Feng. "Loser, why are you looking for me?" Lin Xian asked. "Don't tell me you want me to join your organization?" "I lost to you last time, but this time I will never lose to you again. I will kill you with my own hands," Ouyang Feng said coldly. "Is that so?" Lin Xian shrugged. "Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and do it. You don't have to provoke me. There are rules in this forest now. We can fight, but we have to follow the rules." Ouyang Feng's lips curled into a cold smile. He wanted to defeat his opponent in front of everyone to prove himself. Not long after, Zhao Qianxie and Lu Mingyue arrived. At the same time, the pale-faced youth Yan Qing also arrived. Among them, Zhao Qianxie represented the Giant Valley, while Lu Ming formed his own Bright Moon organization. The pale youth Yan Qing had also established the Thorn Flower organization. With the 3 major organizations present, the battle could begin. Not only these 3 big organizations, but the other martial artists in the forest also rushed over when they heard the news. Whether it was Ouyang Feng or Lin Xian, they were both extremely powerful existences in their eyes. There was no way they would miss out on such a battle. The location of the battle was chosen to be far away from the powerful demon kings. They were afraid that their battle would affect the demon king. If the demon king went berserk, they would all suffer. After all, the most powerful people in this primeval forest weren't them, Holy Sun Alcade or Leaf Dao Denier. Instead, it was the terrifying demon king here. No matter how strong they were, they didn't dare to provoke those demon kings. "Brat, today I will use your blood to wash away my shame." Ouyang Feng roared and his body shone brightly. The terrifying immemorial demonic elephant domain instantly shrouded the area. His aura continued to rise. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his tall body made him look like a human-shaped tyrannosaurus. Boom! With a wave of his fist, 3 immemorial demonic elephants quickly appeared. They roared and rushed toward Lin Xian. What? 3 immemorial demonic elephants. Seeing this scene, the martial artists watching the battle felt their scalps go numb. They didn't expect Ouyang Feng to become stronger and be able to condense 3 immemorial demonic elephants. No wonder he dared to challenge Lin Xian again. His strength was probably much stronger than before. Lu Mingyue, Yan Qing, and the others looked at this scene with a slight smile. They knew how terrifying 3 immemorial demonic elephants were. Lin Xian probably couldn't contend with them. The current Ouyang Feng was no longer the Ouyang Feng from before. He was absolutely terrifying. Sun Yang also revealed a sneer. Seeing the 3 immemorial demonic elephants, Lin Shen was surprised. No wonder he dared to challenge him again. It turned out that his fist technique had improved. But so what? His opponent had improved and so had he. Moreover, his improved strength was even more powerful. So with a cold snort, Lin Shen quickly brandished the 5 elements fist. Boom. Earth element fist. He waved his fist, and a terrifying power covered the entire world as if to suppress the 3 immemorial demonic elephants in front of him. Boom. Boom. In the next moment there was a fierce collision and dust flew all over the sky. The earth cracked, but it turned into countless sharp earth spikes, and shot towards the immemorial demonic elephants. At this moment, Lin Shen became the master of the earth. Terrifying energy swept in all directions, covering the entire forest. At this moment, the faces of the people watching the battle changed. This energy was simply too terrifying. Just the aftermath alone was enough to make them shudder with fear. However, Ouyang Feng was shocked. He didn't expect his opponent's strength to increase and be able to resist his attack. Impossible. How could this kid become so strong? He can even resist 3 immemorial demonic elephants. The others were also shocked. They found that Lin Shen's strength was beyond their expectations. Kill. Ouyang Feng roared and the black wind rose. His whole body was like a demonic beast moving wildly. Lin Shen brandished the 5 elements fist with the dragon sword soul as the foundation. It was extremely terrifying. The 2 of them kept fighting and the earth cracked. Terrifying scenes appeared one after another. At this moment, everyone around was stunned because the 2 of them were too powerful. The 3 immemorial demonic elephants were enough to suppress most of the people present, but they couldn't defeat Lin Shen. Lin Shen's 5 elements fist was ever-changing and terrifying. It could dissolve everything in the world. It was so much so that even the people from the 5 elements sect opened their eyes wide in disbelief. They didn't understand why the other party knew their sect's unique skill. Boom. After 50 moves, Ouyang Feng suddenly roared. The aura on his body skyrocketed again, and the 3 immemorial demonic elephants in front of him quickly merged. Their bodies kept growing and they suppressed Lin Shen. In an instant, the earth cracked and it couldn't withstand the power at all. 5 elements fusion, true dragon attack. Lin Shen waved his fist, and the profound meaning of the 5 elements fused together, turning into a 5-colored divine dragon that rushed out. The huge dragon claw directly slapped the immemorial demonic elephant. Crack. The immemorial demonic elephant howled, turned into spiritual energy and shattered on the ground. Ouyang Feng's body was also blasted away by the huge energy. Boom, 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 boom. Ouyang Feng fell on the ground after retreating for 3,000 meters and breaking countless mountains and trees. Ah, damn it. I don't believe it. Ouyang Feng roared at the sky, his black hair fluttering, and his whole person became extremely ferocious. Defeated, defeated again. Chapter 1755. Defeated, defeated again. He was sent flying again, which was unbearable for him. One should know that this time, he had condensed 3 immemorial demonic elephants. Compared to before, his strength could be said to have undergone earth-shattering changes. However, he was still unable to defeat his opponent. Damn it, I don't believe it. Ouyang Feng roared madly. However, in the next moment, his pupils constricted because his opponent was already in front of him. Apocalyptic Black Dragon Fist. At this moment, Lin Shen did not perform the 5 elements fist. Instead, he performed a more violent and destructive fist technique. He had already practiced the Apocalyptic Black Dragon Fist to the great accomplishment realm. It was extremely terrifying. The terrifying fist was like a black dragon, which violently blasted forward. Damn it, block it for me. Ouyang Feng's pupils constricted. He did not expect his opponent to be so fast. In the next moment, he waved his arms and formed a tall Hell's Gate in front of him. Bang! In the next moment, the Black Dragon Fist collided with the Hell's Gate, making a shocking sound of collision. The Hell's Gate was extremely mysterious. No one knew what kind of technique it was, but it was not damaged. However, the terrifying power of the Apocalyptic Black Dragon Fist passed through the Hell's Gate and violently blasted Ouyang Feng's arms. Crack! Crack! Ouyang Feng's arms were broken and his body was sent flying again. What? Seeing this, everyone was stunned. They did not expect Ouyang Feng to be defeated and defeated so miserably. Isn't this Lin Shen a little too strong? Everyone was shocked. After Lin Xian succeeded, he did not stop. Instead, his body was like lightning as he charged over once again. It was a good time to get rid of his opponent. He would not show mercy to such an enemy. In the next moment, he turned into a sword light and quickly rushed forward. Lin Xian moved like lightning and attacked Ouyang Feng again. What? Seeing this, everyone's scalp went numb. They did not expect Lin Xian to continue attacking. Was he not afraid of the revenge of the three major organizations? Stop. At this moment, another cold shout was heard. Then 2 green vines turned into rays of light and instantly attacked Lin Xian. That is? Yan Qing has made his move. Everyone cried out in alarm. There were immediately people who were dissatisfied because they had already broken the rules. Indeed, Yan Qing had broken the rules. This was because according to the new rules, the battle would only end when one side died. Or admit defeat. Before this, Ouyang Feng did not take the initiative to admit defeat, and he did not die, which meant that the battle was not over yet. No one else was allowed to interfere. However, at that moment, Yan Qing attacked. This caused many people to feel discontent. The reason for that was because they felt that the other party was truly bullying them intolerably. Lin Xian also snorted coldly. Sword qi gushed out from his body, transforming into a long river that fiercely crashed forward. Boom. The green vines were sliced into 2. Lin Xian executed Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps, his speed reaching the extreme. In the next moment he arrived in front of Ouyang Feng. With a wave of his hand, a sharp sword light slashed down rapidly. The sword slashed at Ouyang Feng's body and sent him flying. Immediately, blood splattered everywhere and the surroundings fell silent. The surrounding people were all stunned. They did not expect Lin Xian to be so powerful even though Yan Qing had intervened to stop him. Yan Qing's face turned gloomy. Lin Xian's speed was too fast, and he actually managed to dodge his attack. Killing someone in public was undoubtedly a slap to his face. Moreover, what made his face even gloomier was that Lin Xian had actually succeeded. Looking at the sword that had landed on Ouyang Feng's body, even if he did not die, he would probably be crippled. After sending Ouyang Feng flying again, Lin Xian did not make a move. His body swayed and landed on the ground. He was extremely fierce like the god of death. At that moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian and trembled. In fact, many people immediately invited Lin Xian again and offered great benefits. They wanted to invite Lin Xian to join their organization. If they could invite such a terrifying young genius, he would definitely be a powerful force. Unfortunately, Lin Xian had no intention of joining the organization from the beginning, so he rejected them one by one. However, that did not affect Lin Xian's reputation. From then on, Lin Xian's reputation spread throughout the entire forest. On the other side, Zhao Tianxie, Lu Mingyue, Yan Qing and the others looked extremely gloomy. They looked at Lin Xian with murderous intent in their eyes. That was because the power that Lin Xian had displayed was too shocking. It had only been a few days, but Lin Xian's power had increased so much. Needless to say, he must have obtained some treasure or opportunity in the forest. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to improve so quickly. They had to think of a way to get rid of such a great enemy. Otherwise, the threat to them would be too great. A heaven-shaking great battle came to an end just like this. Both parties left and the forest returned to its peaceful state. However, Ouyang Feng's body was still lying there and no one cared about it. However, his storage ring had been taken away mercilessly. That was the cruel primitive forest. No one cared about a dead person. Even if Lu Mingyue, Yan Qing and the others were once Ouyang Feng's companions, they did not care about the corpse now. However, after everyone left, the void suddenly split open. A silver-white hand reached out, grabbed Ouyang Feng's body and disappeared. No one knew what had happened. Lin Xian did not know either. After he killed Ouyang Feng, he had left the area and set off towards the depths of the forest again. Lin Xian knew that the strength that he had displayed in killing Ouyang Feng had probably aroused the killing intent of some people. He did not know how many there were in the dark, but on the surface, there were at least Zhao Tianxie, Lu Mingyue, Yan Qing and the others. Every one of those people was incomparably powerful. They were not weaker than Ouyang Feng. Moreover, in this forest there must be their own opportunities. No one knew how powerful they were now. Therefore Lin Xian had to be careful. Although he would not join any organization, it did not mean that he would not form an alliance with others. Right now he wanted to find someone to form an alliance with. Naturally, that person was Yi Wudao. Yi Wudao currently had a huge faction, so Lin Xian easily found out where he was. After passing through the dense forest, Lin Xian arrived at a quiet place. There were birds chirping and flowers fragrant here. Spiritual qi was abundant, and there were no powerful Yao kings around. It was indeed a good place to live. As expected of the Yi family. Even in this primitive forest, it was a terrifying monster. Lin Xian now knew that Yi Wudao's identity was not ordinary. It was very likely that he was a disciple of the Yi family. Chapter 1756. As soon as Lin Xian appeared, he felt that there were no less than 3 powerful soul powers in the surroundings that were staring at him. Furthermore, these soul forces were terrifyingly powerful. Needless to say, they belonged to almighty experts. Lin Xian's expression tensed up when he sensed the soul power of these almighties. "Senior, I'm here to look for Leaf Dao Denier. I have no ill intentions." Hearing Lin Xian's words, 2 of the soul forces retreated. However, the last one didn't relax in the slightest. After a while, laughter rang out from the forest, and the last soul force retreated. Lin Xian knew that Leaf Dao Denier knew he was coming, so he didn't hesitate and strode in. Sure enough, a handsome young man in white stood in front of him. It was none other than Leaf Dao Denier. "Brother Dragon, you're here," Leaf Dao Denier said with a smile. "You're famous now." Lin Xian shook his head. "Don't make fun of me, Brother Yi. Compared to you, my reputation is nothing." "You can't say that. Your reputation isn't weak at all." Indeed, Lin Xian's reputation was like the sun at high noon. His accomplishments were simply too many. Not to mention his previous exploits, just the fact that he killed Ouyang Feng was enough to cause a huge stir. Leaf Dao Denier looked at Lin Xian and said, "Brother Dragon, would you like to join us?" "Join you?" Lin Xian was shocked. He hadn't expected Leaf Dao Denier to make such an offer. This was something he hadn't even considered before. After all, the Yi clan was a clan of the ancients. After thinking for a while, Lin Xian said, "Brother Yi, I appreciate your good intentions, but I don't want to bring you any trouble." But Leaf Dao Denier said, "Brother Dragon, you're overthinking things. We don't want you to join us because we want you. We want you to join us because you're strong enough. Even here you are still an elite." Leaf Dao Denier was right. Lin Xian was strong enough to be taken seriously even in the Yi clan. However, Lin Xian still shook his head. "I didn't just defend Zhao Tianxia and Ouyang Feng. There are some even more terrifying existences. I don't want to cause trouble for your Yi clan." Lin Xian was right. He had not only offended people like Lu Mingyue and Zhao Tianxia. He had also offended people from the Wavering Light Holy Land, the All Beginnings Holy Land, and the 5 Elements sect. Especially now, he was wanted by the Wavering Light Holy Land. If his identity was exposed, he would probably attract the pursuit of most of the warriors. He even had the heavenly secret divine eyes. If this was exposed, no one would let him go. The Yi clan would most likely not be spared and would make a move against him. Therefore, Lin Xian would not join the Yi family. At the very least, he wouldn't stay with these almighties because their methods were too terrifying. Who knew when they would discover his secret? However, Lin Xian had come to form an alliance. Therefore he said, "Although I can't join your Yi clan, we can form an alliance. We can help each other. When we are in trouble, we can help each other. How about it?" "All right." Leaf Dao Denier smiled. Although he couldn't let Lin Xian join them, they could form an alliance. It wasn't a bad choice. Although the Yi clan was powerful, it wasn't that they didn't have enemies. In the past few days they had suffered several inexplicable attacks. They could form an alliance. They would do their best to form an alliance. They naturally wouldn't miss out on a young genius like Lin Xian. Moreover, Leaf Dao Denier also wanted to make friends with Lin Xian. After that, Lin Xian left and returned to a safe place. He flipped his hand and took out a 5-colored crystal. This 5-colored crystal was formed by the energy of the 5-colored divine stone. For convenience, Lin Xian had turned the energy of the 5-colored divine stone into small crystals so that he could absorb it when he was free. This was convenient and could quickly provide him with energy. Over the next few days, Lin Xian searched for other sources of energy while absorbing these crystals. However, no one knew that in the depths of the primeval forest, in a dark swamp, a tall young man crawled out of the muddy swamp. He looked at his body in shock, feeling the abundant energy in his body. "Don't worry, your injuries are completely healed. Not only that, your cultivation has reached its peak." In front of the tall young man stood a blurry figure surrounded by black energy. It was impossible to see what was real or fake. "Thank you for saving my life." The tall young man knelt on the ground and said, "Master, from now on, I will follow you and be loyal to you until death." "Very good." The mysterious figure smiled. "I know that your enemy is Lin Xian and I know that you want to kill him very much. Don't worry, as long as you follow me, become my subordinate and work for me. I will let you kill him with your own hands. Really? The tall young man was shocked and suddenly raised his head. If anyone was here and saw this face, they would definitely scream. Because this tall young man was none other than the dead Ouyang Feng. However, for some reason he was now alive. The mysterious figure in front of him laughed. Of course it was true. Then he waved his hand and a silver white palm pressed on Ouyang Feng's forehead. Buzz. Suddenly, a silver mark appeared on Ouyang Feng's forehead. It was the size of a coin and was engraved with strange runes. The silver mark flickered and disappeared quickly. I have planted a special energy in your body. You can try it now. Hearing this, Ouyang Feng no longer hesitated. He stood up from the ground and then activated the energy in his body to trigger the silver mark between his eyebrows. Buzz. The silver mark appeared and shone brightly. Not only that, mysterious runes appeared on it and crawled all over Ouyang Feng's body. A terrifying and powerful energy was emitted from the silver mark. So powerful? Ouyang Feng was shocked. Then he waved his fists and 4 immemorial demonic elephants surrounded him. Seeing this, Ouyang Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. Just a few days ago he could only use 3 immemorial demonic elephants. However, now that he had come back from the dead, he could use 4 immemorial demonic elephants. This meant that his strength had improved tremendously. Thank you, Master. Ouyang Feng knew that everything he had now, including his life, was given to him by the mysterious man in front of him. Therefore he swore to be loyal to him forever. The mysterious man nodded and then said, "Get up. I will give you some men. Together you can capture that kid." The mysterious man waved his hand and 5 more figures appeared around him. Chapter 1757. The mysterious man waved his hand and 5 figures appeared around him. If Lin Xian were here and saw this scene, he would definitely turn pale with fright. Because these 5 figures were Guo Chuanfei, Li Wei and the others. These people were all killed by him before, but he didn't expect that they would all be resurrected now. Not only that, but their auras had also become more powerful. Go, I'll wait for your good news. The mysterious man waved his hand, and Ouyang Feng and the other 5 instantly disappeared. These people did not attack immediately. Instead, they formed a dark organization first. They did not want to be surrounded and killed by others, so they decided to use the primeval forest rules to get rid of Lin Xian. On the other side, Lin Xian, the dark red dragon, and the little white monkey attacked again. Their targets were the powerful demon kings. Of course, they were not targeting the demon kings themselves, but the spirit herbs, crystals and eggs they were guarding. With the little white monkey's treasure bowl, Lin Xian and the others' speed and formations, they were able to succeed repeatedly. However, this also angered many demon kings. Immediately, the nearby forest went berserk again. Those who did not know the truth saw this scene and their scalps went numb. They ran away like crazy. These few days no one dared to wander around the forest. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a rich harvest. He did not absorb the energy he obtained immediately. Instead, he first gave it to the 5-colored immortal stone. Then he absorbed the 5-colored energy from the 5-colored immortal stone. Although this kind of conversion was a little troublesome, the 5-colored energy was purer and more abundant. Lin Xian's strength was also rapidly increasing. Now he was almost a mid-4-star king. This kind of improvement was very fast. One had to know that in the outside world, even the geniuses of the peerless sacred grounds and ancient families would need several years to increase their strength. Ordinary warriors might not be able to increase their strength even after decades or centuries. However, Lin Xian had made such a breakthrough in a little more than 10 days. One had to admit that this speed was simply too frightening. Not only that, but these days he had been digesting and studying these few battles. He was now constantly exploring the power of the Dragon Sword Soul. Previously, he had been using the sharpness of the Dragon Sword Soul. That was why he had such a strong combat strength. However, looking at it now, that incomparably terrifying evolution ability was even more shocking. For example, Lin Xian did not know any of the 5 Elements sect's ultimate techniques, nor did he know any of the 4 Symbols Sacred Ground's ultimate techniques. However, with the help of the Great Dragon Sword Soul, he could use both the 5 Elements fists and the Immemorial Golem fist. Furthermore, its power was even more terrifying than his opponent's fist technique. Not only could he imitate other people's martial arts, but he could also imitate a king's domain. If this kind of attack was used, it would definitely be extremely shocking. On this particular day, he wasn't working on his cultivation, because he had received a message from Leaf Dao Denier. Therefore Lin Xian set aside his cultivation and headed in the direction of Leaf Dao Denier's group. It didn't take long for him to see Leaf Dao Denier again. "Brother Dragon, you're in bad shape," Leaf Dao Denier said grimly. "What's wrong?" Lin Xian was puzzled. Could it be that Zhao Tianxia and Lu Mingyue are joining forces to attack? He was not surprised at all because the two sides would fight sooner or later. However, to his surprise, Leaf Dao Denier shook his head. "It's not Zhao Tianxia and Lu Mingyue. It's another group." "Another group? Who's that?" Lin Xian frowned. "It's a newly formed mysterious group called the Dark Organization. For the past few days, the Dark Organization has been searching for your whereabouts." "Dark Organization?" Lin Xian frowned. He had never heard of this name before. Therefore he asked, "Who are the other party?" "I don't know. They're very mysterious. They all wear large black robes that cover their faces. There's even a black fog surrounding their bodies. However, their attacks are very swift and fierce. Once, an organization with 12 people clashed with them. In the end, the 6 of them defeated the small organization." Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. Not only were the other party few in number, but they were also very powerful. More importantly, they were hiding their identities. Who would attack him? He couldn't figure it out. But then he snorted coldly. "Since they want to fight, then let's fight. Brother Long, do you want to fight them?" Leaf Dao Denier asked. His expression was solemn. "The other party's strength can't be underestimated. In this battle, I'm afraid the other party will attack together with 6 people. It's too much for you to take on 6 of them alone. Moreover, the other party seems to have come prepared." "It's fine. It's only 6 people. I'm confident." Lin Xian nodded solemnly. His eyes shone brightly. He also had his own plans. If he defeated this dark organization in front of everyone, his reputation would expand once again. When that time came, other organizations would think twice before making a move on him. In that case, his troubles would be greatly reduced. Soon, the news of Lin Xian challenging the dark organization spread. Suddenly, all the martial artists in the entire primitive forest were shocked. They didn't expect Lin Xian to really agree. For a moment, everyone was discussing. Is this guy's brain flooded with water? How dare he agree to such a thing? Yeah, that's 6 people. And they're extremely powerful. They've even defeated a large organization before. Such a force is absolutely terrifying. Someone actually dares to challenge them alone. He's really courting death. Just you wait. That kid is dead meat. This time, almost no one was optimistic about Lin Xian's chances. Because this was not a one-on-one battle, but a battle with an organization. Under such circumstances, a one-on-one battle was too disadvantageous. Zhao Tianxia, Lu Mingyue, Yan Qin and the others sneered when they heard the news. Looks like I don't have to do anything. Someone else will take care of him. Zhao Tianxia snorted coldly. Then he moved and led his people to watch. On the other side, Lu Mingyue, Yan Qin and the others also set off. Not only them but most of the martial artists also set off. They wouldn't miss this shocking battle. In the forest, Ouyang Feng, Li Wei, and the others revealed sinister smiles when they heard the news. They were all people who had died once. This time they were resurrected to kill Lin Xian. Originally they thought that Lin Xian might refuse. If that happened, they might be in a lot of trouble. However, they didn't expect Lin Xian to agree. What an arrogant guy. He's courting death. How dare he attack the 6 of us? He's dead meat this time. I'll definitely take revenge for this. I must kill him to avenge the death of my friend. Chapter 1758. Cold shouts rang out one after another. These people were brimming with killing intent. They were incomparably cold as they swore to kill Lin Xian. They put on black robes and masks. Ouyang Feng's body swayed and shrunk until he reached the size of a normal person. He had no choice. If he walked out in his original form, he would definitely be recognized. That was because other than him, no one else was more than 3 meters tall. He did not want others to know that he was resurrected. That would ruin his master's plan. In a forest, more and more martial artists rushed over. They were discussing the upcoming battle. Not long after, a figure rushed over from afar. He was tall, handsome, and calm. It was Lin Xian. That's the kid? He's too arrogant. He's very ordinary. I don't see anything powerful about him. How dare he challenge the Dark Coalition? He's quite handsome. There were also women who were infatuated. However, more people sneered. What's the use of being handsome? He'll be finished soon. How dare he challenge the Dark Coalition? I'm afraid he's dead meat today. That's right. I heard that the Dark Coalition is very terrifying. Every one of them is a powerful machine. If the 6 of them attacked together, no one would be able to resist them. A series of discussions broke out as everyone's gaze landed on Lin Xian. At that moment, the void in the distance rippled. 6 black figures rushed over. They were 6 mysterious people in black robes and masks. Their bodies were surrounded by a black aura. It was impossible to see them clearly. Even soul power could not detect them. Whoosh! They landed on the ground. Each of them emitted a shocking murderous aura that pierced through heaven and earth. The surrounding martial artists were shocked and quickly retreated. What a terrifying murderous aura. It seems that they're determined to make a move this time. Many people felt their scalps tingle when they sensed the aura. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and sized up the 6 people in front of him. At the same time he was puzzled. The murderous aura on them was too strong. It was as if there was a deep hatred between them. However, he did not know the 6 of them at all. Forget it. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. After defeating them and taking off their masks, he would know who they were. It was useless to guess now. In front of him, 6 black-robed men stood there. Their murderous aura soared to the sky, as if they were gods of death. Especially the one at the front. His murderous aura was like a giant dragon that soared into the sky. He stared at Lin Xian in front of him and said coldly, "Boy, are you going to die kneeling, or are you going to surrender obediently? But no matter what method it is, I will make you wish you were dead." His voice was very low, like that of a demon. After Lin Xian heard this, he frowned. It seemed that the other party's resentment towards him was not small. However, he wasn't someone who would sit and wait for death. Thus, he snorted coldly and said, "Enough nonsense. The 6 of you can come at me together." What? Hearing this, everyone was in an uproar as if they couldn't believe their ears. Was he really going to challenge an entire organization by himself? This was crazy. At this moment, everyone was incomparably shocked. As for the 6 black-cloaked men at the front, they sneered. "Brat, you're too arrogant. However, since you're courting death, we'll fulfill your wish." The 6 of them were like demons ready to attack. However, at this moment, Lin Xian said, "Wait. This place isn't suitable for battle. I'm going to challenge the 6 of you alone. Give me some space. Otherwise, aren't you being too much of a bully?" "Space? What space do you want? Don't tell me you want to use the entire forest as a battlefield?" The black-cloaked men's voices were cold because they had fought Lin Xian before and knew that Lin Xian's speed was incomparably terrifying. If they were allowed to stretch the battle line, they were afraid that they would be defeated one by one. In that case, their advantage of working together would be gone. However, Lin Xian smiled and shook his head. "I don't need the entire forest. Just give me a valley." "A valley?" The surrounding warriors were stunned. The 6 black-cloaked men were also stunned. They didn't expect Lin Xian to choose a valley. The 6 of them discussed for a while, then revealed a sinister smile again. This was because if they started fighting now, Lin Xian might escape. However, choosing a valley was a different story. It was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides and had only one exit. As long as they blocked the exit, Lin Xian wouldn't be able to escape. That way they would be able to catch a turtle in a jar. Thinking of this, they did not hesitate at all and readily agreed. "We'll do as you say. Choose a valley. Kid, choose a grave for yourself." "Ah." They sneered, not putting Lin Xian in their eyes. Zhao Qianxia, Lu Mingyue, and the others also shook their heads in disdain. In their opinion, no matter what Lin Xian chose, he had no chance of winning this battle. On the other side, Yi Wudao also arrived, accompanied by 2 old men. When they saw Lin Xian's actions, they immediately said coldly, "This kid is too arrogant. He actually wants to fight against 6 experts by himself?" The 2 old men shook their heads. Yi Wudao's expression was grave, but he still spoke. "Don't underestimate Brother Long. I feel that he's very strong. He might not be weaker than me." "How is that possible? Young master, you're—" One of the old men didn't believe him. But just as he was about to say something, he was stopped by the other. In front, Lin Xian moved, looking around. Finally, he chose a valley. This valley was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides. It was relatively spacious and suitable for battle. "Okay, this will be it," Lin Xian said. "This is the grave you chose for yourself? It's really nothing much? Kid, from now on, this will be your eternal resting place." The black-robed men sneered. As for the other spectators, they came to the surrounding mountains and silently watched the battle. They stood on top of the mountain and looked down. They could clearly see the entire battle. Soon the battle in the valley began. The 6 black-robed men roared, and a terrifying aura erupted from their bodies, instantly enveloping the entire valley. Even the spectators felt their scalps go numb, and their faces were filled with fear. Because the aura of these 6 people was too strong. In the next moment, the 6 black-robed men joined forces and sealed off the only exit. Lin Xian coldly snorted, and a fierce light appeared on his body. It made him look like a god of war, powerful to the extreme. Moreover, to everyone's surprise, he didn't try to escape. He didn't even try to take a detour. Instead, he directly rushed over. What? He actually rushed over. What is this kid thinking? Isn't he courting death by directly confronting 6 people? It seems that he knows he's going to die, so he's giving up? Chapter 1759. Looks like he knows that he's going to die, so he's given up on himself? Doubtful voices were heard. Obviously, these people could not understand Lin Xian's behavior. In their opinion, the best way to face the 6 black-robed men was to wander around the valley and defeat them one by one to avoid being surrounded by them. That way, even if he could not win, he could at least stall for some time. However, Lin Xian's approach was completely out of everyone's expectations. He did not beat around the bush at all and directly faced them head-on. People who did that were either fools or idiots, or they had ungodly strength. Did Lin Xian really have ungodly strength? No one knew. The 6 black-robed men were stunned when they saw that, but then they shouted coldly. How dare he underestimate them and fight the 6 of them head-on? That was intolerable. Therefore, the next one of them roared angrily and charged forward like crazy demonic beasts. The distance between the 2 sides was getting closer and closer, and in the next moment, it was less than 10 meters. However, at that moment Lin Xian made his move. He waved his arm and a sharp sword light instantly surged out. The sword light was too terrifying. It contained the aura of a dragon and appeared in the air like lightning. In an instant, it slashed one of the black-robed men. Boom. After that attack, a horrifying crack appeared on the black-robed man's body. Blood splattered everywhere, and the man's body was sent flying backward and crashed onto the ground. What? He got him in one hit. When the crowd saw this scene, they all cried out in surprise. They could not believe that Lin Xian was the first to succeed and gain the upper hand. That was too unbelievable. One had to know that Lin Xian was alone, and he was facing 6 black-robed men, each of whom was extremely powerful. Even so, Lin Xian still gained the upper hand in the battle. It was hard to believe. Damn it, how did it turn out like this? Even the 6 black-robed men were shocked. They could not accept that fact at all. His strength has actually increased again. The leader of the black-robed men had a ferocious look on his face and his eyes were as red as a wild beast's. He could not believe that the other party's strength had improved so much in such a short period of time. This was simply too heaven-defying. Go. Kill him. With a roar, they once again charged towards Lin Xian. Terrifying attacks surged towards him like waves. The void trembled, unable to withstand it at all. It was immediately torn apart. In the next moment, a violent power surged towards Lin Xian, surrounding him in an instant. Lin Xian coldly snorted, and his entire body blossomed with resplendent light. His entire being seemed to have transformed into a peerless divine sword, sweeping forward. Immediately, a huge crack appeared in the berserk energy. Then he used Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps and rushed out quickly. Boom. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of these black-robed men and punched out with both fists. His left hand was the fist of metal, and his right hand was the fist of fire. Both of his fists punched forward. On the left, golden light shone. The golden light seemed to have transformed into a golden sword. It was incomparably sharp and quickly pierced through the void. On the right, pitch-black flames surged out. The terrifying heat caused the entire void to distort. Boom. With 2 loud bangs, 2 black-robed men were sent flying as if they had been struck by lightning. He's done it again. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb. They could not believe it. Because Lin Xian was simply too powerful. In a total of 4 moves he had injured 3 people. It could be said that they had never seen such a method before. The remaining 3 black-robed men were also terrified. They could not believe it at all. How could this be? How did he become so powerful? At this moment, on the distant mountain peak, Lu Mingyue, Zhao Tianxie, and the others had extremely grave expressions. Because this scene was completely different from what they had imagined. It could be said that the strength that Lin Shen displayed now was a world of difference compared to before. Damn it, what kind of treasure does this kid have? How could it be so heaven-defying? His strength has increased so quickly. Even the two old men standing next to Leaf Dao Denier were shocked. How did this kid do it? How can his combat strength be so strong? Could it be that he can really be compared to young master? The two elders were extremely shocked. Yi Wudao, on the other hand, breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, he had not misjudged Lin Shen. Kill. The remaining three black-robed men roared crazily. The three of them had the strongest auras. At this moment, they were like gods and demons as they attacked crazily. Terrifying energy exploded, and in an instant the void in front of them exploded, creating an extremely terrifying black hole. Whoosh. However, Lin Shen's speed was extremely fast. He narrowly avoided the energy bombardment and then punched out with both fists, sweeping the three of them. A terrifying battle erupted. Lin Shen was fighting 1 against 3, but he was still not at a disadvantage. The more they watched, the more shocked they became. Suddenly, Lin Shen coldly snorted and changed his fist technique again. A primordial aura surged from his body. Brr, brr. In the next moment, 2 long roars were heard, piercing through the sky as if 2 huge beasts had awakened. Then 2 immemorial demonic elephants rushed out from his fists and stood in the void. Their huge bodies carried endless energy, and their cold eyes were emotionless. The 2 immemorial demonic elephants seemed to have crossed time and space from hell. What? Immemorial demonic elephant fist. How does this kid know the 4 symbols sacred grounds fist technique? At this moment, everyone was shocked and could not believe it. The 3 black-robed men were extremely shocked, especially the one at the front. His body was trembling as if he could not accept this fact. Impossible, this is impossible. How does he know the immemorial demonic elephant fist? This was the 4 symbols sacred grounds ultimate technique. How could an itinerant cultivator like him know such a fist technique? Under the mask, Ouyang Feng could not accept it. One had to know that such an ultimate technique could not be taught to outsiders. Even in the 4 symbols sacred ground, only the genius disciples could cultivate it. But now, Lin Shen was obviously not from the 4 symbols sacred ground, but he could use the immemorial demonic elephant fist. It was unbelievable. But now there was no time for them to think too much. Because the 2 immemorial demonic elephants were already rushing towards them. Boom, boom, boom. The void was trampled mercilessly, and countless black cracks appeared and spread in all directions. The 2 immemorial demonic elephants were like 2 mountains, pressing down on the 3 black-robed men. Get lost. Finally, the black-robed man at the front could not take it anymore. He also waved his fists and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Not only that, but 2 huge phantoms also appeared on his fists. Immemorial demonic elephants. Boom, boom, boom. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants collided in the air, and a terrifying aura tore through the sky. In the end, the 4 immemorial demonic elephants disappeared into the void at the same time. As for the surrounding crowd, they were all stunned. Chapter 1760. The surrounding crowd was dumbfounded. They did not expect the black-robed man to also know the immemorial golem fist. What was going on? They did not understand at all. Lin Shen's pupils also constricted abruptly, his face full of shock. To be honest, he did not expect the other party to use the immemorial golem fist. This was too unexpected. One had to know that the reason why he could use the immemorial golem fist was because of the great dragon sword soul. Apart from him, he had only seen Ouyang Feng use this fist technique. But now, the black-robed man in front of him actually knew this fist technique too. It really shocked him. Could it be that the other party was a 4 symbols Holy Land martial artist? For a moment, many people looked toward a mountain peak. Because there were several 4 symbols Holy Land martial artists standing there. However, those people quickly shook their heads because they did not know who the other party was. This was too shocking. There were actually 2 outsiders who could use their 4 symbols Holy Land's ultimate technique. This matter was definitely not simple. They had to investigate to the end. I did not expect you to be from the 4 symbols Holy Land. Are you here to avenge Ouyang Feng? Lin Shen asked with a frown. Humph, you don't need to know who I am. You only need to know that today is the day you die. The black-robed man snorted coldly. Then he waved his fist again and quickly charged forward. Since he had already used the immemorial golem fist, he would no longer hold back. For a moment, four terrifying immemorial golem elephants appeared around him and charged forward together. What? Four immemorial golem elephants? How is this possible? Everyone was in an uproar again because they did not expect the black-robed man to be so powerful. One had to know that Ouyang Feng, as an outstanding disciple of the Four Symbols Holy Land, could only use 3 immemorial golem elephants. And now, this black-robed man was even more terrifying than Ouyang Feng. When did such a terrifying figure appear in the Four Symbols Holy Land? Could he be the Four Symbols Holy Land saint? For a moment, everyone was shocked and asked the other Four Symbols Holy Land martial artists. As for the surrounding Four Symbols Holy Land martial artists, they were also very puzzled. Their brows were tightly knitted. They did not know who the black-robed man in front of them was. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants filled the void as they rushed forward with terrifying energy. Lin Xian's expression was solemn as well. He did not expect his opponent's ancient demonic elephant fist to be so powerful that it could summon 4 ancient demonic elephants. This was even more impressive than Ouyang Feng. Therefore he did not dare to be careless. Brandishing both of his fists, the fist of water gushed out rapidly. Instantly, boundless seawater surged, covering the entire space. Crash! The seawater rushed towards the 4 immemorial demonic elephants and surrounded them in an instant. Not only that, but a huge whirlpool of ocean waves formed near each immemorial demonic elephant, forming a powerful force that firmly locked the immemorial demonic elephants, making them unable to move. This scene was truly too terrifying. No one had expected that Lin Xian would still be able to contend against the mysterious black-robed man's 4 immemorial demonic elephants. The face of the black-clothed man at the front also darkened. The fact that his opponent was able to contend with his 4 immemorial demonic elephants surprised him greatly. However, his strength was not limited to this. In the next moment he brandished his fists again. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants roared into the sky, and violent power gushed out from those immemorial demonic elephants. Boom, 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 boom. The boundless whirlpool of ocean waves was directly stomped into a terrifying black hole. The 4 immemorial demonic elephants escaped the shackles of the cage and charged towards Lin Xian. At the same time, the other black-robed men also made their move. 2 of them were not injured and the other 3 were injured. At this moment, they had recovered some of their injuries under the effect of the elixir. They would join forces again to attack. Humph! Seeing this scene, Lin Xian's black hair fluttered, and the dragon sword realm rushed out immediately, and then transformed into the water realm. Boundless waves swept in all directions. The waves were very terrifying, containing the aura of the great dragon sword spirit, resisting the 6 masters. However, one of the black-robed men sneered, then waved his fists, and also punched out a sky full of seawater. The fist of water. Everyone was shocked and could not believe it. They did not expect that one of the black-robed men would also know the 5-element fist, and even use it. To be honest, even Lin Xian was stunned. He did not expect that the other party would also know the 5-element fist. This was really unexpected. 5-element fist against 5-element fist. The boundless ocean surged and the 2 forces collided in the air, continuously exchanging blows. Every time they collided, a thunderous sound would be heard. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect that the other party would also have people from the 5-element sect. However, this was not the end. In the next moment, everyone screamed again. That was because the other black-robed man used the primal chaos energy and rapidly shot it out. That primal chaos energy was incomparably terrifying, and it could even kill a 6-star king. Primal chaos energy. It's a martial artist from the All Beginnings Holy Land. Everyone cried out in alarm. Even Lu Mingyue furrowed her brows. After all, she was an outstanding disciple of the All Beginnings Holy Land. She did not expect that one of the black-robed men would be her fellow disciple. Moreover, from the primal chaos energy, the other party was clearly an expert. However, who was the other party? Lu Mingyue also did not know. Lin Xian's expression was also grave. For a moment he was surrounded by 6 experts. His situation was extremely dangerous. "Ice seal!" he roared. The boundless ocean waves in the surroundings surged and instantly froze, forming clouds of icy mist that froze the entire space. Ka. In an instant, the attacks that filled the sky, the terrifying scene, and the 6 black-robed men were all frozen in the icy mist. The surrounding ocean also instantly froze. This method could be said to be heaven-shaking. Lin Xian's figure flickered, and he rapidly retreated from the encirclement of the 6 black-robed men. In the next moment, the 6 black-robed men roared, and a terrifying light erupted from their bodies, shattering the icy mist. They once again pounced at Lin Xian. The 6 black-robed men were very powerful. However, what shocked Lin Xian even more was that the 6 black-robed men actually included people from the 4 Symbols Holy Lands, the All Beginnings Holy Land, and the 5 Elements sect. These people were all his enemies. He did not expect that they would actually attack him together. However, since this was the case, he would not show mercy. In the next moment, he roared and pulled out the 9 underworld demonic sword. A terrifying sword light tore through the sky. The seawater that filled the sky instantly turned into an incomparably terrifying sword chi. It swept out in all directions. Dang, dang, dang. A heaven-shaking collision rang out. The 6 black-robed men were actually forced back by the sword chi. What? So powerful? What kind of sword chi is that? It can actually repel 6 experts. How did this guy do it? Everyone was shocked. They did not dare to believe it. The 6 black-robed men were also shocked. They were afraid that the other party's sword chi was too terrifying. It made them feel as if they were on the verge of death. Kill. Lin Xian held the 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand, and his entire body was surging with killing intent. Chapter 1761. Boom. One of the black-robed men was hit and his black robe was instantly torn apart. Poof. In the next moment he revealed his true face. The mask on his face and the surrounding black fog were all slashed apart. What? It's you? Lin Xian was shocked and could not believe what he was seeing. He actually knew the black-robed man. It was Wang Yu. However, he had already killed him. How could he still be alive? Moreover, he was much stronger than before. What was going on? Lin Xian could not understand at all. In addition, the people from the 5 Elements sect were also shocked because they also recognized Wang Yu. However, they did not know why Wang Yu was dressed like that and why he had become so powerful. Damn it. Wang Yu's expression was ferocious and murderous. His eyes were filled with viciousness. Wang Yu was still alive. How could this be? If that was the case, were the other black-robed men also dead and resurrected? Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He realized that the other party might not be any other cultivator, but one of the people he had killed before. In order to verify this idea, he stared at the black-robed man at the front. The other party used the ancient demonic elephant fist. He wanted to see if the other party was Ouyang Feng. Therefore, in the next moment he used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. With the demon sword in his hand, he turned into a shocking sword light and rushed forward. You're courting death. The black-robed man at the front saw Lin Xian and immediately roared. He waved his fist and the 4 ancient demonic elephants quickly circled and formed a powerful hurricane that blasted out. Whoosh, whoosh. The void was instantly torn apart. The powerful wind blade was extremely sharp and could destroy everything. However, Lin Xian only shook his long sword and pierced a black hole in the wind blade. He also rushed out in an instant. However, he was soon stopped by an ancient demonic elephant. Humph! You want to get close to me? You have no chance. The black-robed man at the front sneered. He naturally would not let the other party get close and would not expose his identity. An immemorial demonic elephant stood in front of Lin Xian, emitting a terrifying aura. It was like a giant wall that no one could cross. On the other hand, Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand. His entire being was extremely sharp as he faced this colossus alone. This scene was too terrifying, making one's scalp tingle. Although the immemorial demonic mammoths were only condensed from power, they felt like real ancient demonic beasts. They emitted a terrifying aura that made it hard for people to breathe. Lin Xian, on the other hand, didn't feel any discomfort. In fact, his aura was even more terrifying than that of the immemorial demonic elephant. In the next moment, Lin Xian made his move. He waved the 9 Serenities devil sword and quickly stabbed out. The terrifying sword light rushed out like a rain of light, emitting a trembling sound. Sword chi thunder. The terrifying sword light soared into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds in all directions. Then endless lightning accompanied by terrifying sword radiance fell from the sky rapidly. Rumble. The void trembled and terrifying lightning filled the sky, completely drowning the immemorial demonic elephant. What a terrifying sword light and lightning. This young man was indeed amazing. On the surrounding mountain peaks, even the older generation figures and sect elders kept nodding their heads. The young disciples looked even more solemn, because the power that Lin Xian displayed made them tremble. Boom. The sky was filled with sword light and lightning, instantly piercing through an immemorial demonic elephant. Lin Xian was like a demon, walking quickly toward the black-robed men. How can this be? How can his sword technique be so powerful? The black-robed men's eyelids twitched wildly because they realized that the other party's combat strength was too amazing. His cultivation was obviously inferior to theirs, but his combat strength made them feel a sense of despair. Damn it! Go! The black-robed man at the front roared again, and the three immemorial demonic elephants beside him roared out. It's useless. I must take off your mask today. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He waved his long sword, and the dragon sword realm around him quickly provided energy. Boom! Boom! Three huge sword auras directly blasted the three immemorial demonic elephants away. For a moment, nothing could stop Lin Xian's footsteps. How can this be? The six black-robed men opposite him felt their scalps go numb and kept retreating. Facing the young man in front of them, they felt like running away. I don't believe it. At this time, the black-robed man at the front roared, and his entire body turned into a demon, quickly pouncing. On his body, a huge light appeared in an instant, wanting to envelop Lin Xian. Buzz! The demonic sword swept across the sky, directly splitting the terrifying light. Not only that, the black-robed man's mask, black robe, and black mist were all split open. No! The black-robed man retreated, covering his face with his hand, looking very ferocious. It's really you. Lin Xian did not attack again, but his expression was incomparably cold. The surrounding martial artists were all stunned, and each of them widened their eyes in disbelief, because they had already seen the black-robed man's face. However, they could not accept this. Ouyang Feng. How can it be him? This is impossible. Among them, Yan Qing's face was full of shock, as if she had seen a ghost. Indeed, she had seen a ghost. One had to know that Ouyang Feng was killed in public, and everyone knew that. However, now he had come back to life. Not only that, but his strength had also increased greatly, which was too unbelievable. What was going on? At this moment, not only Yan Qing but even Lu Mingyue and Zhao Tianxie were also extremely shocked. The other martial artists' minds were blank. A dead person coming back to life, this was completely illogical. They had never heard of such a thing. Everyone was stunned, but at the same time, they also knew why the other party would use the immemorial demonic elephant fist. Because the other party was originally a martial artist from the Four Symbols Sacred Grounds. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes, looking at the other party. It's you, you're actually not dead. That's right, it's me. Since he had been recognized, Ouyang Feng did not hide anymore. His entire body bloomed with light, and his figure suddenly rose to 3 meters, returning to his original appearance. However, you're wrong about one thing. It's not that I didn't die, I came back to life. This time I've come from hell for revenge. Today I will kill you with my own hands. Ouyang Feng's expression was cold, and his eyes were like lightning, emitting a terrifying killing intent. Behind him, the other 5 black-robed men also tore off their black robes and took off the masks on their faces. Looking at those people, Lin Xian's expression was extremely grave. Because those people were none other than Guo Chuanfei, Li Wei, Wang Yu, and the others who had been killed by him. It seemed that not only Ouyang Feng had come back to life, but the others had as well. However, how did the other party do it? What method was this? Chapter 1762. What kind of technique was that? Lin Xian was extremely shocked. Even He Tu and the dark red divine dragon, who were hidden inside the black earth, were stunned. They could not believe it. Kid, be careful. They're too strange. The two of them transmitted their voices. Lin Xian's expression was solemn, and the aura on his body became even sharper. I don't know how you came back to life, but if I can kill you once, I can kill you a second time. Since you're in a hurry to die, I'll fulfill your wish. You're courting death. Shameless boasting. You're definitely not a match for the 6 of us. Ouyang Feng and the others shouted coldly. Their expressions were ferocious. In the next moment they pounced crazily. This time they no longer had any scruples. They attacked with all their might, using their respective ultimate techniques. Immemorial demonic elephant fist. Ouyang Feng shouted. He was like a demon, and the terrifying immemorial demonic elephant rampaged. 5 elements fist. Li Wei used the 5 elements fist. The 5-colored light kept flickering, terrifying and strange. Chaotic light. Guo Chuanfei shot out beams of terrifying light, tearing through the void and slashing towards Lin Xian. The others also used their ultimate techniques, and terrifying energy rushed towards Lin Xian. Good timing. Lin Xian laughed. I haven't used my full strength in a long time. Today I'll show you my true strength. Lin Xian's body emitted a bright light, and the dragon sword realm instantly enveloped the entire valley. Kill. He roared and waved his sword. Suddenly, a black sword light descended from the sky like the Styx River. Poof. The terrifying energy directly split a ball of energy, causing it to dissipate into spiritual energy. On the other side, Lin Xian clapped his hand, and the thousand-beast cauldron appeared above him. A terrifying black light swept out like a tide. It was deafening, as if thousands of soldiers and horses were galloping in the air. Boom, boom, boom. The five elements fist was broken. Layers of dragon shadows. Lin Xian held the sword in his right hand and punched out with his left. Countless black fist shadows intertwined in the air, forming numerous black dragons that blotted out the sky. The four immemorial demonic elephants collided with each other at high speed as the terrifying dragon soared through the sky. Ping ping ping. In an instant, the six figures were blasted back again. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was like a demon god. He stood in place, his cold gaze sweeping the surroundings. This is your power? You're just SOSO. Domineering. Too domineering. Only a few people were capable of repelling six experts by himself. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a god of war, domineering to the extreme. Damn it, why is he so strong? Ouyang Fengdu and the other five had ugly looks on their faces. Originally, they had thought that the six of them would be able to easily kill the other party. However, he didn't expect that in just over 10 days, the other party's cultivation and strength would undergo another earth-shattering change. That kind of breakthrough was even more powerful than theirs. Even now, the six of them couldn't take him down even if they worked together. However, the six of them wouldn't give up just like that. This time they came to kill Lin Xian. Moreover, the six of them still had their biggest trump cards that they hadn't used yet. The next moment, Ouyang Fengdu snorted, "Kid, don't be too arrogant. Although you're very strong and beyond our expectations, do you think you can avoid being killed like this? You're too naive. No matter what tricks you have, today is the day you die." Li Wei sneered. What other tricks do you have? Bring them all out. I'll let you know that all tricks are futile in front of me. Lin Xian pointed his sword forward. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Ouyang Fengdu snorted. Then, the six of them looked at each other and nodded heavily. The six of them snorted coldly. Light erupted from their bodies, and the spiritual power in their bodies surged. Then, a silver mark appeared between their eyebrows. The light shone, and it was extremely strange. Silver runes quickly crawled out from the mark and covered the six of them in an instant. The next moment, the six of them shone with silver light, and their aura suddenly skyrocketed. The terrifying energy formed a huge storm that enveloped the entire valley. Even the surrounding martial artists who were spectating the battle felt their bodies hurt from the force of the energy storm. What? They're still hiding their strength. What's going on? This aura is too terrifying. What's that silver rune mark? Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. If one or two of them had hidden their strength, they could still believe it. However, the six of them had hidden their strength together, and they had hidden a lot of it. This was definitely not something that an ordinary person could do. There must be a secret on the six of them. Furthermore, that silver rune imprint was truly too strange, causing them to feel a sense of trepidation. Lin Xian was also very surprised. He didn't expect the six of them to be able to increase their strength by so much at the same time. It was too surprising. Silver runes? They must have obtained some kind of mysterious energy. I wonder if it's man-made or something else. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The resurrection of the six of them was already too surprising. He didn't expect them to be so powerful. It seemed that they must have had an unknown adventure. Ouyang Feng and the other five, their bodies shone with silver light. They felt that they had powerful strength and suddenly laughed. Ah, kid, you're dead this time. I think the six of us don't need to attack together. One of us can kill him. After obtaining the energy of the silver rune, the six of them became arrogant again. Among them, Li Wei took a step forward. Kid, let me blow your head off with one punch. Five-form fist. The golden fist turned into a wave and rushed forward quickly. This energy was more than twice as strong as before. Suddenly, the sword light that filled the sky was blasted back by this punch. Even the sword chi dimmed a lot. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were shocked. It seemed that the silver rune mark was really mysterious. It could increase a warrior's energy by so much. After Li Wei succeeded in his punch, he also laughed to the sky. That was because he felt that he alone would be able to kill Lin Xian. Kid, did you see that? This is my strength. Die obediently. Li Wei was like a god of war looking down at Lin Xian. On the other side, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. His opponent's strength had indeed increased. He could even compete with him. However, he could only contend against him. It was impossible for him to defeat him. Because before he didn't use all of his strength. I don't know what kind of adventure you had, and I don't know what your silver rune mark is. But if you want to defeat me with this little power, it's undoubtedly a fool's dream. Lin Xian said coldly. A fool's dream? It seems that you're still naive. Chapter 1763. Ouyang Feng and the rest did not make a move because they also felt that Li Wei could defeat Lin Xian after activating the power of the runes. In the sky, Li Wei swung his 5 elemental fists. Seawater surged on one side and flames surged on the other. The two opposite energies collided in the air, forming a terrifying light that quickly shrouded Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted and waved the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand. It was like a black lightning bolt. Buzz. In the next moment, the sword radiance turned into 2 black dragons that intertwined with each other. The terrifying sword aura soared into the sky and instantly split the energy in the sky. Azure Dragon Break. In the sky, the terrifying sea of flames and the sky were split open by the sword, creating a vacuum. Not only that, a sword radiance soared into the sky like a black dragon and charged towards Li Wei. What? He's still hiding his strength. Li Wei's pupils constricted when he saw that. He was not a fool and could naturally see that his opponent had become stronger. Thinking of that, his scalp went numb. He swung his 5 elemental fists while retreating quickly. He wanted to avoid the shocking sword. Behind him, Ouyang Feng and the rest were also shocked. 1 or 2 of them even made a move. They had just gained the upper hand and could not be suppressed by Lin Xian again. However, the sword was too fast. It was like a flash of lightning and instantly pierced Li Wei's body. Poof. Li Wei was directly pierced by the sword aura and nailed to the ground. Buzz. The sword aura turned into a black dragon and enveloped Li Wei, destroying his vitality. What? He was killed. Seeing that, everyone widened their eyes. Ouyang Feng and the rest were in disbelief. Li Wei was killed. What a joke. They did not dare to believe it. Li Wei's strength was in the top 3 among them. At that moment, he had activated the power of the silver runes, which was extremely terrifying. In fact, there were very few people among the younger generation in this primitive forest who could compete with Li Wei. Even so, he was still killed by his opponent. Damn it, this kid is too strange. Hurry up and kill him. There could not be any more accidents. Ouyang Feng roared angrily. He had a bad feeling, so he ordered the other 4 to attack with all their might. In the next moment they moved. Silver light flickered on each of their bodies. Like 5 silver flashes, they quickly pounced forward. 6 God Sword Art. Lin Xian also shouted. With a wave of his arm, 4 sword god phantoms appeared in his dragon sword spirit domain. Every one of them was extremely sharp and terrifying, as if they were real gods of death. Kill. In the next moment, Lin Xian led the 4 sword phantoms and quickly charged forward. Ping ping ping. Not only that, but Lin Xian's dragon sword domain also emitted a series of dragon roars. A great battle erupted and it was abnormally intense. However, it didn't take long for those black-clothed men to be pierced through by the sword shadows and nailed to the ground. The only one who was still alive was Ouyang Feng. However, at this moment, his face was also filled with madness. He simply could not accept this reality. How could this be? How could the other party be so strong? He had single-handedly killed 5 of his comrades. One had to know that his comrades all had the silver mark given to them by their master. That energy was enough to make them laugh at their peers. Now the 6 of them joined forces and still couldn't defeat the other party. Damn it, even if all those people are killed, I can still kill you alone. Ouyang Feng roared angrily, and the silver light on his body shone even more brightly. The silver mark between his brows flickered with incomparable light. An extremely terrifying aura emanated from his body. However, Lin Xian on the other side also frowned. It had to be said that this Ouyang Feng was stronger than the other 5. However, no matter how strong he was, he had to kill the other party today. Therefore, in the next moment he waved the demonic sword in his hand and slashed out waves of shocking sword chi. Boom. The demonic sword streaked across the sky like a black river, surging over. With a sharp aura, it directly cut open the sky. However, at this moment the aura emitted from Ouyang Feng's body became even stronger. On his body, the silver light was like lightning, and even the scales of a demonic beast flickered. His body, which was originally more than 3 meters tall, quickly became 7 to 8 meters tall. His limbs were thick like a human-shaped demonic beast. Whoosh! Ouyang Feng's body swayed slightly, and like a silver bolt of lightning, he instantly dodged the terrifying sword chi. On his body, the silver light was like a silver flame, burning fiercely, causing his strength to increase by several times. It had to be said that this silver mark was too mysterious. It could actually increase a martial artist's strength by so much. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were also extremely shocked. Especially the martial artists from the 4 symbols sacred grounds, their pupils constricted. This was because the current Ouyang Feng, other than not having the primordial demon elephant's nose, was like a primordial demon elephant. His 4 huge feet could crush mountains and rivers, and his eyes were red like a wild beast. His body was covered with silver scales, and he was completely a standing primordial demon elephant. Kid, the origin of this silver mark is extraordinary. It's definitely not something you can imagine. And my current strength is also not something you can imagine. Therefore, in this battle, you will definitely be killed by me. Say these words after you succeed. Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved the 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand again. The sword chi filled the sky, and it was extremely sharp as it slashed directly at Ouyang Feng. Ouyang Feng roared. He was like a wild beast and he did not dodge at all. Instead, he raised his fist to meet the attack. At this moment, his fist was like a silver mountain, and it was extremely dazzling. Clang. The silver fist and the black demonic sword collided, causing an earth-shattering collision. The explosion turned into an energy storm that swept out in all directions. Lin Xian frowned. Ouyang Feng's strength had indeed increased, and he was almost on par with him. Moreover, Ouyang Feng's body was so strong that it could contend with his demonic sword. It was indeed shocking. Aha, kid, stop struggling. My current strength is already getting stronger. It won't be long before I tear you to pieces. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. It's just an external force. It's not my own and I can't unleash its full power. Today I'll let you know what it means to truly defy the heavens. Lin Xian turned into a bolt of black lightning and quickly rushed forward. The 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand turned into a black dragon that kept roaring. The sword chi was too terrifying. It could devour the heavens and split the earth as if nothing in the world could stop it. In an instant it was in front of Ouyang Feng. The terrifying black sword chi quickly descended. Clang, clang, clang. Ouyang Feng roared again and again, waving his silver palms and quickly resisting. Chapter 1764. The silver light collided with the sword light in the sky, producing a clanging sound. The energy was too terrifying. It was like 2 volcanoes erupting at the same time, blowing up the entire void. The ground sank and the entire valley collapsed. Black holes appeared one after another. Ah! Ouyang Feng roared crazily. Silver runes shone all over his body and his eyes were bloodshot. At that moment, he seemed to have lost his mind and pounced forward like a mad beast. If it's not my own power. You can't do it. Lin Xian's gaze was firm. The sword chi on his body was like a rainbow. The great dragon sword soul revolved quickly and a terrifying power swept out in all directions. Boom. There was another fierce collision, followed by blood splattering everywhere. This time Ouyang Feng could not take it anymore. His silver light was cut open and countless cracks appeared on his palm. Not only that, but his body was also sent flying, causing the ground to crack. Buzz. Lin Xian quickly caught up with him like a shadow. The demonic sword in his hand emitted a black light like a black sun and slashed down. The sword was so powerful that even the eyelids of the elders in the distance twitched. Ouyang Feng's body was also cut in half by the sword. The silver light in the sky disappeared and blood stained the ground. The entire valley was silent. The 6 members of the Dark Coalition were all killed. Lin Xian held the killing sword in his hand and looked like a sword demon. After a moment of silence, the surrounding cultivators let out a series of exclamations. They could not believe that the final winner was Lin Xian. One should know that the 6 members of the Dark Coalition were all very powerful. At that moment they were all killed by a single person. It could be said that it was a feat that defied the natural order. At that moment, many people looked at Lin Xian with fear in their eyes. As for the people that held grudges against Lin Xian, their expressions grew even more gloomy as they frowned. They knew that Lin Xian was definitely a powerful enemy. He would probably be their nightmare in the future. Those who did not have a grudge against Lin Xian and yearned for power were extremely excited. Their eyes were red. They felt their blood boiling and wanted to roar at the sky. It was as if he was fighting alongside Lin Xian. That was because this kind of hot-blooded battle scene had really infected them. There were even many people who wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill Lin Xian. Because of the previous battle, they knew that Lin Xian must have expended a lot of energy and might even have suffered serious internal injuries. Therefore this was the best opportunity. However, Lin Xian didn't give them a chance. After killing Ouyang Feng, he left the valley at lightning speed. The previous battle had indeed consumed a lot of his spiritual energy, so he didn't want to give those people a chance to attack. Seeing Lin Xian dashing towards the outside of the valley, the figures on the surrounding mountain peaks charged towards him like ghosts. These people weren't of the younger generation, but rather middle-aged or elders. They were the experts of top powers who were taking action. They wanted to clear the obstacles for their sect's genius disciples. Because Lin Xian was undoubtedly a powerful enemy. But soon they returned with dark faces. That was because Lin Xian was too fast and they couldn't catch up. There were also shouts from those who wanted to form an alliance with Lin Xian or invite Lin Xian to join them. But there was no response. Lin Xian was like a ghost as he left the valley and shuttled through the forest. But soon he stopped and even frowned. That was because there was a figure in front of him blocking his path. Lu Mingyue. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He didn't expect Lu Mingyue to be the one blocking him. She was able to keep up with his speed and even predict his escape route. He had to admit that she was definitely a terrifying woman. That's right, it was Lu Mingyue standing in front of him. She was like a fairy, but there was a trace of coldness on her beautiful face. Lu Mingyue didn't say anything, but her eyes shone brightly and streaks of chaotic energy appeared on her body. Buzz. In the next moment, 2 streaks of chaotic light burst out from her eyes. They were like sharp swords that pierced through the void. Humph. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Since his opponent dared to compete with his soul power, he naturally wouldn't be afraid. So, in the next moment his eyes also flickered. 2 streaks of golden light turned into golden swords that collided with his opponent's chaotic light. Boom. The 2 soul powers collided. Then, a terrifying explosion of energy swept out in all directions. A small crack appeared in the void, and the surrounding forest was cut in half. This kind of attack was too terrifying and dangerous. The slightest bit of carelessness could cause a cultivator to suffer serious injuries. After the first exchange, the 2 of them didn't attack again. Lin Xian was greatly astonished. His opponent's soul power was actually so powerful that she could contend against him. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. Lu Mingyue was also extremely astonished. She didn't expect Lin Xian's soul power to be so powerful. Furthermore, after such an intense battle, he was still able to contend against her attack. It seemed that he was truly extraordinary. He was an exceptional enemy. So, in the next moment she said in a deep voice, "Don't worry. Don't worry, I won't attack you right now. However, you've still killed the cultivators of my All Beginnings Holy Land. It's impossible for you to continue living like this. In the next 7 days, my organization and I will attack you. If you can contend against us, then this grudge will be settled. If you can't, then I'll have avenged my fellow disciples." After saying that, Lu Mingyue didn't wait for Lin Xian's reply. She turned into a streak of chaotic light and left the forest. Revenge? All Beginnings Holy Land? Lin Xian coldly snorted. His eyes flickered. Sure enough, his opponent still wanted to attack him. However, he wasn't afraid. He wanted to see what kind of methods this outstanding disciple of the All Beginnings Holy Land had. If she was too weak, he wouldn't mind sending her on her way. Not long after Lu Mingyue left, Lin Xian also quickly moved. He returned to that safe place and started to cultivate. He wanted to recover the energy he'd lost and the injuries he'd sustained. He even took out the 5-colored divine stone and started to rapidly absorb it. The 5-colored divine stone flickered with incomparably resplendent radiance. Tens of thousands of multicolored rays of light fell down and enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian also operated the Immortality secret art and started to rapidly absorb the 5-colored divine stone. The surroundings were extremely quiet. There wasn't the slightest bit of sound. Suddenly Lin Xian's heart jumped. He discovered that he seemed to have entered the world within his body. The 5-colored divine stone outside had actually followed him in. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.